The Earth is very flat.
What's up, everybody? It is Monday, July 19th, 2021. This is Brandon, host of Brandon's Show. Hope everybody's doing good out there. I see that YouTube is censoring me on my own show. I posted a comment. I didn't know they censored even the channel owner. I guess that makes sense. But that's kind of weird. Comment wasn't really worth repeating, but anyway, we got Mark Taylor, Dan Morris, Cleary, Bill G. Sounds good. Thanks, Bill. First Incubus, page 42. Just Barry, Anthony Burrows, Karem, and Just Barry was first tonight. Yes, the lodge was closed tonight, as I said in the comments, to clean the bloodstains out of the carpet from the weekend. So I am here tonight on Monday evening. Happy to be here. Glad I have the time to do the show. I always enjoy it. I honestly do. Globe Thrusters, I'm here. Go ahead. Yep, we just started. I knew you would be here, so I went ahead and started Globe Thrusters. Thank you very much. What do we got to talk about tonight? Neil deGrasse Tyson, the gift that keeps on giving. Boy, I like that guy. He thinks like we do, I guess. We can talk about that. Many of you probably saw it on RV Truth already, but I think it's pretty funny. Let's see what else. Something I heard on Globebusters earlier today when I was watching a 15-minute video that they put out, and it's kind of been a recurring theme or a statement. A lot of flat earthers have said that they're hiding the fact that we are created and that makes us special. They don't want us to know we're special. And I really don't understand that comment, so I'm hoping maybe somebody in the Discord can enlighten me on what exactly that means, just because we were created, how that would make us special. Myself not being a very religious person, I don't claim any religion, and nor am I an atheist. It doesn't exactly make sense to me. I just kind of realized it never really made sense, that statement, but maybe we can get some insight into that and see what people think. And we got some China, Mars, very likely CGI, and I want to get the ballers' input on whether or not we're supposed to believe that. I mean, is it trustworthy, the stuff from China? I don't know. We'll take a look and see what we think. But without further delay, let's go into Discord and see what's going on.
No. I'm saying technology, it's making money, it's doing all this other shit other than like progressing. You get what I'm saying? So we need to progress science.
They have to create an economy, right? They have to create a relationship between wants and desires and needs, right?
I'm saying when they give you the ability to Google everything, right? And the information you're getting Google from, when that's not even a good source, I mean, what are we really doing? Like, what are we looking up when these protons, these things, like the certain stuff science brings to you, it's just a cartoon of an understanding, and we know it's not a fact. So how do you check on stuff like that?
Well, the individual, this is what I think the greater purpose of a reset is actually about the individual understanding the difference between fantasy and reality, perhaps. Maybe a self-awareness to their impact on their what choices they have and what impact that causes to to other people. I mean, really, the system that we're in now, if one person is winning, that ideally means one person is losing, depending on how you frame it. But ideally, that's how the system is set up. The stock market is very similar, right? If you're cashing out, it usually means somebody has lost money, right? To some degree. I'm not saying that companies that make a product, that sell a service, that generate cash flow and provide a workforce for people. The individual reset itself is designed to have the person think, essentially, right? Critically think. Because there is no trust anymore. I don't see, you see all these conspiracy channels pop up for a reason, right? Alex Jones was a marker for the mainstream media to go ding, ding, ding.
Because they get
Go ahead. Sorry.
I said because they get views. You think Alex Jones actually believes half the shit that comes out of his mouth?
I can't divine his thoughts, but I can tell you that he's put in place as a marker, in my opinion, because it's all about flow or eyes, right? If you have the eyes lead the way, well, then you're going to want to lead where the eyes go. In this case, if you are putting in fraudulent reporting and it eventually gets exposed slowly, then those eyes are going to go to another channel. They're going to gravitate and watch something else that they can relate to what their findings are.
So
And
Alex Jones is just a psyop?
I'm not saying that either. I'm saying that it's a marker.
What are you saying?
Alex
It's
Jones,
a marker.
What do you mean by marker?
Again, so if you have a group of people like the what do you call it? The pop culture of the world eventually start to lean towards Alex Jones, then there has to be, because fundamentally it's about distrust. This is what Alex Jones, it signifies. It's distrust in the mainstream. It's no longer pop culture, right? But Alex Jones was becoming pop culture. And in fact, now Alex Jones is pop culture. That is a sign, a marker, regardless of the intention, regardless of the, let's look at the result and what it leads to and what it opens up the next chapter for. And that is more conspiracy channels, right? It's that de-evolution of trust, right? And that's what the World Economic Forum is basically insinuating, and that's what Flat Earth initially inspires you to be critical of institutions and their their foundations and their origins, right?
Or maybe the reason why Alex Jones popped off was because all the memes that people made about him, and they just like to watch what crazy shit he spews out of his mouth.
Hey, good
Well,
afternoon.
let's simplify it then. Let's see how the easiest version goes. It's entertainment. It's stupid entertainment, right?
Yeah, stupid entertainment.
Quantum Dog, do you trust what you see from like CNN, the Washington Post, the New York Times?
I don't watch the news.
Well,
I
mean, what's your opinion on the
I watch
information
the
that
news
comes
for
out
the
of it, though? Do you
entertainment.
think it's accurate?
No. Depends on the news source. Some are much more credible than others.
What do you think about that Snowden dude talking to Neil deGrasse Tyson through a robot in a secret meeting that was filmed? And
I have not heard of it.
it's weird though. But what I'm saying is like,
And you got any source?
Snowden. Listen, what do you think about Snowden? Is my question to you. What do you need a source for? I'm asking you a question.
Snowden is a coward who leaked government documents and then fled to Russia.
Okay, so what do you think
He's a
about Alex
criminal?
Jones?
Alex Jones is a nut job, or he is somebody who preaches a bunch of dumb shit to get stupid people to watch him and give him money.
So what do you think about Stephen
Well,
Colbert?
that's the interesting part about psyops or conspiracy theories, is that they're allowed to maintain a platform and to provide criticism, critique to the narrative, the mainstream narrative. Without that, do you think people would be more critical thinkers or less critical thinkers?
They make
Tell
you
you
look.
what, we're making.
I think that they'd be less credible thinkers because they just let
Exactly,
retards on
right?
the internet tell them what to do.
See, that's
Or
the
tell 'em,
problem, though.
like-
And you must admit that kind of is our problem, is that groupthink is terrible to some
No,
degree,
what I'm
right?
saying is that like having some schmuck like Alex Jones get up there and convince people
dude.
that there's chemicals like turning frogs gay. I see that as the problem.
Okay, I get it, but you're focused on just one avenue of entertainment. That how do you think they release information to you without driving you crazy? How do you think they go about doing it? Like if they have information they have to put out there and it's legit, how do you think they do it? Do they just blatantly tell you with a stone cold face, or do they put it out in a mockery kind of way? Like how do you think they release this stuff, even if some of it was true?
Depends on the information. Sometimes they're outright. Sometimes you have to go digging around in the government documents that whose classification has expired.
So the argument with Alex Jones and the frogs turning gay is that there's a hormone, right? A hormone that it's producing an estrogen, let's say, in a male animal, let's say. I think that's the concept. It's producing so just on the concept of the situation. He's saying there's a chemical in food or water, whatever it is, that if you consume enough of it, it will eventually change your hormone levels, right? Now, let me ask you a question. Is that true? Can we change our hormone levels if we consume something once a week or every other day?
Yeah, we can consume drugs that change our
Yeah,
hormones.
so we can, right. So
Oh.
if this is the argument is that the substance the frog is ingesting or being exposed to has a side effect, that side effect does, and they're telling you the truth, but they're actually mocking it, because at the end of the day, the way I understand how they tell information is they tell it to you, whatever the way they want to tell it to you, and if you don't say anything, that means you agree and you comply with the information they told you.
So,
and then if you criticize that information, if you want more information about it, well, they do two things to you, which is either discredit you right away for seeking the information, right? They have to right away, or they give you a red herring, right? So,
or they disprove you because you're spreading false information, such as the case.
What I said,
where,
that's what I said.
Hey, am I done yet? No,
they tried
I'm
to
not.
mock you.
Yeah, so in the case with the gay frogs, nobody's been able to replicate the findings of that one scientist who made this claim, and peer review and people trying to recreate a study can't seem to get the frogs to do what the original guy said. They found no link between the company's chemicals and the frogs from that one scientist. So when you go out there and you no, hey, I'm not done yet. So when you go out there and you start making all these stupid ass claims, yes, a company's going to come out there and say, "Hey, you're full of shit. Stop slandering us. Stop committing libel."
So,
do you know what the FBI cited as one of their major causes for the proliferation of conspiracy theories, quote unquote?
Was it 9/11?
Nope. It was actual conspiracies.
Like?
Do you need me to go through a list of actual government conspiracies that have been uncovered?
Go for it.
Iran Contra, MK Ultra, using NASA to cover the B-2 bomber.
Gulf of Tonkin.
The Gulf of Tonkin.
You want me to keep? We can keep.
What
going.
about the Gulf of Tonkin? Because I guarantee you actually haven't read through what people said about the Gulf of Tonkin.
Why don't you tell us the story of the Gulf of Tonkin?
Miscommunication. People just genuinely not being aware of what was actually going on. Not intentionally lying, just untrained, stupid people.
And what is your source for that?
The very people that investigated it, and that was the conclusion that they found.
Who?
But the fact that they used it to launch into the war wholeheartedly, that doesn't matter. That's water over the bridge.
Yeah, so going back and investigating it and finding that these people just were utterly incompetent. And
what about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq?
Yeah, so they found huge chemical facilities and huge mustard gas containers dating back to the 70s and 80s.
The claim was nuclear weapons, not chemical weapons. That was the claim that he had.
Yeah, so false information giving. So yes, false information given to us by Israel, or exaggerated information given to us by Israel, led us into a war.
How about the USS Liberty?
What about the USS Liberty?
Would you consider that a incident that the government was upfront about, or would you consider that a cover-up?
Was that the one where Israel bombed our plane? Or bombed our ship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the problem there?
I had to look further into it. Israel made a mistake.
Mistake, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You seem to default on the side of the establishment narrative.
Yes,
party
and you
line.
seem to
Why is
constantly be. I mean, because I have no other reason to doubt them.
You don't think that
Again,
the
when I look at
government
these
and the media and the
situations,
establishment has given you a reason to doubt them?
No, so in these certain circumstances, I have no reason to doubt them.
So in what circumstances do you have reason to doubt them?
When they're investigated, tooth and nail. They comb through every last person involved, and they come up with their findings. Really hard to keep everybody silent about that.
So what
So whatever
situation do
happened-
you have cause to doubt them in? Give me an example of a government conspiracy or an area where you doubt what the government or the establishment says.
Can't really think of one, dude.
Really?
Mhm.
Not a single one.
Nope.
Says a lot about you.
Yep. Says I'm not paranoid.
Well,
It's
wait a
not
second.
paranoia,
So do you
my friend.
believe? Do you believe that
It
government?
says you're an
like,
idiot, but I mean,
Hold
I guess
on, just
to
out of
each his
curiosity.
own, maybe.
Why would it be paranoia?
in in
I mean, when you're
in
constantly
actual
living
written,
with this idea that the higher powers are constantly lying to you.
That human
so that
beings have the
they-
capability to lie? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they do.
do live with that.
Yeah,
I do
people
live with the
don't
thought
lie.
that
No, they
human
don't- they
beings
don't
are
lie.
capable of lying to you. The fact that you don't, like I said, that makes you seem like an idiot.
No, because I know that
No?
truth comes
You,
out.
you
and
really
when
don't think that human beings
investigators-
can lie to you?
No,
You really
I'm
don't
getting
think
to that.
so?
I'm trying to answer
Oh,
that.
you're
You
getting
shut
to
your
that.
mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hold
okay.
on,
Go ahead.
hold on.
Go ahead
Let's,
and
zero.
get
let's
into
have
that.
a back and forth
Down
here.
to zero.
We're having a good back and forth.
So-
Let's just
so-
keep it civil.
So, like I was trying to say was, when you have these people that go through there with a fine-tooth comb and they investigate every single one of these people, and they all pretty much give a corroborative story, even 20, 30 years later, it's
Which
kind of
incident are
hard.
you
to
Can you
referring
give us?
to
everybody-
Can you
right
give me a
now?
reference? Can you give me a reference to that? Like,
Oh,
what
yeah.
are you referring to that they held
So the
something for
Gulf of-
20, 30 years?
So the Gulf of Tonkin, and when they constantly went back and they interviewed these people over that, they all gave the same story. Like, yeah, we fucked up. Like, we thought we saw this. We thought that that this happened on this particular day, but it actually happened the day before. We received a training call which we misinterpreted. So yeah.
What do you think
So,
about?
so just to clarify, you just said that they saw an incident that happened the day before, but they thought it was the day they saw it. Did you want to kind of?
No,
did you just
so
say?
there's two separate days of which the
Yeah.
Gulf of Tonkin incident occurred.
Uh-huh.
But hold on, give me a minute. I'm reading into the USS Liberty right now, trying to get more
Okay, so
information
you're
on
just
that.
gonna cut the story, yeah.
Yeah, because we can all go through here in a little bit when we actually read through the
What-
investigation to the
I
USS.
don't think
or
we
is that-
really
is
need
that
to
an
explore your thoughts any further. I got to be honest with you. For someone to sit
Mhm.
there and say that he can't think of a single time where the government or the establishment lied, a single incident where you question what they say, there's really no reason for us to have a discussion. You should log off of Discord and you should go research and you should listen.
I'm listening
That's
for
what you
one.
should be
I
doing.
can't-
You
can't
should be
give
But
me a
he's
single
listening.
he's
one.
defending, right? So you're defending, which is fine. You're entitled to defend.
Yeah.
But are you being? The question here is you being totally, completely genuine in your, apparent vast knowledge of conspiracies and whether the government were honest or just, the way I've read it in other books is that governments have been doing because of the job they have to do. They commit crimes all the time to complete their missions so they can fight criminals, right? So there's no boundary to what a government, like just reading historical evidence of, having kids grown up in orphanages and then, basically sponsored by wealthy people to go to Ivy League schools so that they can be put in positions of power. I mean, this is not like new stuff, man. All governments do this practice. It's known, it's written, and it's recorded. So that alone says to me that either you're just like, I don't know, kind of dumb or just like, I don't know, really
So
just
the
ingenuous,
U.S.
dude.
government. So you can find me where the U.S. government is grooming orphan children to go out and get into Congress.
Just go look at any empire, dude, and how they maintain power. It's not my words. These come from other scholars, right? And I'm drawing a blank to the name at the moment, but this is not new stuff. And if you think that that's like it's okay for a philanthropist person to sponsor children, and then what they do is they put them in Ivy League schools and they come calling on them years later for some favors. I mean, is that just complete storytelling? Because it's written, it's documented, right? I mean, as far as I remember reading the material, dude, maybe you might be able to find it in General Hackett's book, Third World War. I'll get back to you on that, where I got that from.
I
was gonna
still
ask
don't know where
about,
you're coming from with that.
I was going to ask you about the Russiagate thing, right? The claim was that Trump colluded with the Russians to get elected or something, and then they investigated for like 4 years, and they had all these investigations, and the media talked about it every day for like 4 years, and
Uh-huh.
basically like nothing came of that.
Oh no, so people got indicted. People are currently in jail for it.
Name
So
one.
you're wrong.
So
Yeah.
name
So
someone.
yeah. So
Name someone who's
let
in
me actually
jail.
go in there. Let me actually Google his name. I forgot he was on one of Trump's campaign committee members.
And so what you'll find that they're in jail for is lying to the FBI. There's no one that
Mm-hmm.
went to jail for collusion or for sedition or anything like
Because
that.
collusion isn't necessarily a criminal offense.
So basically, there's a perjury trap, right, where people go in and they get interviewed by the FBI, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's what they get in trouble for, is changing their
Yes.
story. So
Yes. When they lie.
how does that prove collusion though? That's the case, right? That there was collusion. How does that prove
So
that?
I mean, I can get my buddy Mike in here, and he can actually step you through every single phase of the Trump investigation and how the committee found him in complete contempt, at least in the House of Representatives. All the data was laid out to the American people. You could have read it yourself. Showed
I
all the
followed the
evidence that they
case
had.
I
Showed
followed the
all the
case
evidence
quite
that they had
closely,
for collusion.
and I can still say that no one went to jail for collusion. No one got charged with
Yes,
collusion.
because
So
collusion isn't a crime.
But if the case was that there was, you know, that the Russian troll farm, right? Because that was the claim, that there was this Russian troll farm, and they brought charges against a bunch of people, like 40 different people. You know, the Department of Justice had to drop that case, right? Those
Um,
people actually came forward and said, "Well, go. What are you trying to charge us with? We didn't do anything."
the people in Russia, they're trying to charge Russians in an American court system.
They laid out indictments, yeah, the Department of Justice, and then
And you think that
they ended
you
up dropping them when they got pushback.
yes, because you think that they would have been able to get those Russian hackers and forum posters to get to America.
I don't know. The big claims that they had for interference turned out to be like $5,000 worth of ad buys on Facebook and like $50,000 worth of ad buys on Google. And that's what the claim was, that they were able to shape the election with that little minuscule amount of money.
Against Hillary's $2 billion advertising budget, right? Think about how
Yeah,
stupid you sound sitting there saying something like that.
yeah, dude, just a little bit of money going towards like the right group of people can actually swing your election quite a
You
lot
gotta
when
get your
when
head
your
out of your
margins
own ass,
when your
bro.
margins when
You
your
have to
margins
get your
between
head out of
key
your own
counties are
ass, dude.
when your margins between counties are at what, like 1 or 2%.
Get your
All
head
you have
out
to
of
do
your
is,
own ass, bro.
What
I
about
mean,
the results that just came in? I think Arizona with Trump. I could be wrong. It looks like have now proven with 100% there's fraudulent voting going on.
is there now? I haven't been keeping up with that.
So like they marked down on the ballot box.
No, there isn't.
They mark down on the ballot boxes the number
Because
of ballots that are supposed to be inside, and so as they've gone back and reviewed them, some of them were missing up to 15% of the ballots that should have been in there.
Yeah, and most likely none of that is true.
Farming Ganja, he's essentially said that he buys everything that the government and certain media, it sounds like, tells him. I
Well,
don't
they're
Well,
know
just
it's
saying
really
what we
that,
could
weird because
possibly gain by, I mean, if you want to interrogate him further, that's fine, but we might as well just talk to
what
The
I'm
real,
fucking
the
what
real
Wikipedia.
I'm
problem,
because what I'm
the real,
looking at, what I'm
the real,
looking at is
pro-
sorry, Ellen, you go.
yeah, the real problem is that the people in this server, flat earthers and other conspiracy theorists, lack the critical thinking skills in order to come to correct conclusions based on limited data, and that's simply the real problem here.
Hmm.
So,
Can you give us
so
an
we have
example, Brenda?
Well, you're
Can you give
also
us
on
an
the
example?
server. Are you included in that list of people?
Brenda, can you give us an example?
Excuse me.
No, Brenda,
excuse
can you
me.
give us an example? Can you give us an example, please? Don't go further. I'm
Yes.
confused.
Sure.
Can you give us an example? Yeah, just give us an example now. Come on.
Yeah, give us an example, Brenda.
Yeah, sure. Ships going over the horizon is evidence for curvature.
Okay,
How
she's
so?
just being an idiot now. Let's just ignore
But
her. That's
How
just
so?
so stupid.
That's your lack of critical thinking skills.
Yeah. How
That's
so, Brenda?
your nice
so?
inversion, by the way. That's your lack of critical thinking skills for still thinking that
Oh,
that
ex-
has anything to do with the fucking shape of the Earth.
It's
Most
literally
Globers
about
aren't
the
even
shape.
stupid enough to bring that up as evidence of the shape of the Earth.
So
I'm really, hold on, I'm really glad that
go ahead, Chief.
I'm really glad that he brought up Snowden. Because what is Snowden known for right now? Leaking
Tell
a
us.
bunch of top secret information, right?
For being controlled opposition.
Yes.
Is what he's known for.
He's
Yes.
known. He's known
so-
for spilling the beans on government secrecy that of government. I don't know if you want to call them crimes, possibly war crimes committed during the Iraq War. Yeah, governments commit crimes.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
So
Wow.
but hold on.
He was just
But
telling
you know what-
us,
do you-
Squatting
do you know
Bull,
what's-
Squatting Dog was
hold
just
on.
telling us that governments don't commit crimes. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's
I
what
didn't
I
say
heard.
that governments don't commit crimes.
Oh, they don't lie.
I think Squatting Dog and Brendo
That's
should
what
fight.
I'm-
Yeah,
what
we
I'm
got a
trying to,
disagreement here.
No,
So what
I'm squatting dog, and I'm sort of over talking you, squatting. I'm sorry. I feel energized. I feel
No,
energized.
no, it's all good.
But
So,
yeah.
so
You and
what
your
Snowden-
buddy,
what-
were just never mind. Okay, fine.
What
Go ahead.
Snowden came out and said was that the NSA was spying on Americans. That's what Snowden came out with. The revelations about the war crimes in Iraq actually came from Julian Assange and WikiLeaks.
Julian and what's his name? Bradley Manning or whatever he goes by now.
Correct.
yes. So in those classified documents, top secret documents, do you think that those things are true or no?
That the
Which
NSA
ones?
spies on Americans? Is that what you're asking?
Do you think that those documents that he leaked were factual?
I think the NSA spies on Americans. I think that's clear.
Yes. So in those documents,
Do governments want to maintain power? And if so, how do they maintain power? What are the strategies they use? Can you name a few?
and so I'm getting to that. So in those documents, they had in those top secret documents information
Hey,
about the
Squatting Dog,
satellites that they were using.
Squatting Dog, hold on. Squatting
You're
Dog,
not going to
just out of
get me.
curiosity.
You're not going to get me off my train here. I'm going to
No,
stay
it's
on my
not.
train of thought.
It's not a train.
Yeah, you
I
are.
want you.
It is.
I want
Hey.
you to stop bullshitting, and I want you to tell me what a government does to maintain power. Can you think of any strategies they use? Just out of curiosity. And if you do think of a strategy, would one of them involve lying, cheating, and stealing and killing? Just out of curiosity.
Lying, cheating, stealing, and killing.
Or how about destroying, denying, degrading, disrupting, deceiving, and protecting?
Yes, you would have to show evidence of them doing that in the United States.
Oh, well, I'm sharing my screen right now. Oh, in the United States. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that the spy agencies in the UK and what is it, the Five Eyes? I'm sure
the
that
Five
they're
Eyes was,
radically different policies,
disproven.
right?
Five Eyes was disproven.
Disproven?
Just-
Wow.
yes.
Was it debunked?
Yeah, debunked.
So,
Who did that?
Independent investigators. Was it Freedom of Information Acts and the
This guy's a
such.
fucking idiot.
Whistleblowers that are shown to be lying or just
Look, man.
incorrect about their statements.
If you had
Who,
a family that was in power and you're struggling against another family to maintain power, what lengths do you think your family would go to? You think your family would be like, we're goody two shoes. We don't lie, cheat, or steal to maintain our territory and power. We're just going to do it with honest good looks and faith and charity, right? Is that what you think? Like, dude, you just sound like kind of stupid, right?
I mean, yes. So hotel attack. What are we even looking at? Call bombing.
I just wonder where he
DOS.
gets information of government honesty. Does he get that directly from the government?
Has he ever saw an actual government document, like an actual document he thinks
Yeah,
it's a
I can get my buddy Base AF in here, dude. He is a he has very
Question
credible
for everybody.
sources.
A question for everybody on the panel. Would you agree that there's still good with inside the government? And
Yes.
of course, and that if within that good inside the government, people are doing their best to fight corruption, the only way they
Yes.
know how.
Yes. Yes on
Right?
both counts. Yes on both counts.
Yeah. So we also probably agree that there needs to be something fixed with the government because there's something wrong with it, right?
Then we
We
would
all-
also agree that there is corruption, right?
There is
Brenda?
corrupt. There are corrupt entities within the government, and there it's
And are
not.
they
it's-
on this server
ex-
right now, Brendo?
Excuse me, and they're not limited to the GOP or the Democrats. It can be both. However, at this time, the GOP is, in my opinion, the most corrupt party in quite some time. They're extremely corrupt. And by
Can you-
corrupt, I'll define corrupt for you. Corrupt means pursuing your own self-interest over and above that of the benefit of the United States and its people.
People you're supposed to represent.
Yes, that is corruption. When you only reason for getting into government
we all
is-
agree.
yeah.
We all agree there, Brenda. Like that's the thing that all of us here on the panel would agree with, right?
Right. Where we disagree is I
Squatting Dog-
disagree. I disagree on how pervasive and all encompassing it is. I think there are individuals, there are problems, both currently and in the past. But I think that
that's based on your
conspiracy-
ideologies. That's based on your ideologies of what you understand their intent are. Their intent is.
No,
Let me ask you
no,
a question.
no.
If the intent of the political elite are going to, let's say, structure a lifestyle where we have periods of lockdowns in between periods of freedom, and they're going to use that particular structure based on climate change, that's going to evolve from where the situation we're in now. So what party, what side of the fence do you sit on now? When it comes down to having them,
I understand.
having them. Okay, all right.
I
Go
already know. I know enough to give a response. That's why I was kind of. I'm sorry, I was over talking, but I already know enough to give a response. Where conspiracy theorists go wrong is that they do try to do what you just did, which is to assign intent to large groups of people. Groups of people don't have intentions. Only people have intentions. So there is no collective, there's no such thing as collective intent, right? There's just individuals seeking.
If that was true, if that was true, then there would be no reason for a program called Lockstep.
No, that's not true. That's not true. There could be other reasons. There could be other reasons.
Yeah,
not
of
having
course.
to do. Not
There
having
is
to
other
do.
reasons. And so we're going to highlight those other reasons just to see what kind of side of the fence you sit on. So now you're on the government side of the fence defending it, right? So I think I can't speak for everybody there, but myself, I see the writing on the wall to where the evolutionary Silken Road from China is literally making its way to Canada, right? And the way that I see how they're going to do it is they're going to crash the economy. And then they're going to have this major infrastructure boom for maybe the next 8 years. They'll probably kick-start it maybe 2023, 2024, maybe. That infrastructure will produce all the content, minerals, oils, everything for China. And when 2030 comes, China will be the main supplier of all minerals. And this is what hold on. Yeah. This is not me saying this, Brenda.
That's you saying that.
No, it's not. I'll tell you where it's coming from. No, well, yeah, but I'll tell you where I'm regurgitating it from. And it's not verbatim. I'm paraphrasing here and there. They are telling you from BNN, and basically investors are telling you what they're building, what's coming. They tell you what the demand is, what China's building. They expose it all. They don't have to hide a single thing. They tell you what the evolution, the economic plan is. They tell you what the economic plan is.
Individuals and even corporations can have like economic plans and economic incentives. But again, you are projecting an intention onto other groups, political organizations that is not supported.
What groups were they?
You just said that You just
What
said
groups?
that there's. You just said that there's an
Yeah,
intent.
but which ones?
There, you
No,
just.
I didn't. You said.
You just
You
said
said.
that there's an. Excuse me. You just said that there's an intention for a long-term progress of various policies, like having to do with the virus and economics, right? So that's the lack of critical thinking part on your part, because vast shadowy forces don't have intentions.
So
do you know the World
Okay,
Economic Forum is, Brenda? Have you heard of Klaus Schwab?
It's a bunch of people who have a lot of money, right? Who
over $1 trillion,
right?
over $1 trillion
who get together,
combined, yeah.
who get together in order to advance their personal interests. Yes.
Does the GOP as an organization of people have intention, Brenda?
No.
Oh, okay.
So let me
Double
ask you a
speak.
question, Brenda.
Double speak.
No, that's not double speak.
Do you think the best way for the elite to destroy Western society is introduce things like flat Earth, right? Introduce things like gender ideology, introduce things like critical race theory, right? Don't you think the elite are letting this happen? Because it's big tech that are pushing this forward, which are run by the Democratic elite, which are the people that go to Davos.
This is you
right?
again.
So they're using, hold on, so they're using Marxism. They're using Marxism ideologies,
No.
right?
No.
Yes, they are. Yes,
No,
they are.
Just a minute. So
they're doing that openly, and you know what? We're sitting here with our thumbs up our ass, because what can we do to fight Marxist ideologies when it's in all the institutions and it's run by the media?
It's not
and now
true.
and now our own left, my government here, the liberal government here, is extreme left. Extreme left.
So allow me to respond. So the point is you have this totalizing, catastrophic kind of paranoid conspiracy theory. Elements can be true, while the overall doom that you're preaching can be false. So, however, it's not
Why don't
true.
you be specific? I don't even know what the fuck you're talking
Marxism-
about, Brenda. You're saying that he's
I
this and he's
understand.
that, and
It's
he's got this
difficult
overall
concepts.
impending doom. Can you get specific, please?
That's projecting. That's a lack of critical thinking skills when you project your paranoia onto vast, unseen political
Specifics, please.
forces.
Keep it to this conversation. What did he say
It's
that
what he just said. It's
represents
what he
your
just said.
charge there?
He said that there's a vast. He said that there's a vast conspiracy to push the COVID-19, global warming, critical race theory. These things existed independently already. They were not part of any vast conspiracy. They are just currents within the global culture. Marxism is a result of a guy named Marx who wrote a few books, and people who like those books have that same political belief system, which I, in fact, criticize and do not agree with, right? But nevertheless, I acknowledge that this is just an organic function of society. I don't think that all events in society are crafted by unseen shadowy forces behind the scenes, pulling strings and controlling puppets. That is the lack of critical thinking skills. That is conspiracy thinking.
Didn't we just go through a worldwide lockdown, and
Yes.
the media all acting in lockstep
Yes.
to amplify the message from the World Health Organization?
Because why?
Because we were in a pandemic.
Yes, because there is a virus, and the virus does not give a fuck about our politics. It does not care about our politics. It is a virus.
In 2009, the World Health Organization changed the definition of pandemic to remove the requirement that there actually be a large number of deaths.
Okay.
So there was not a large number of deaths.
Interpreting that for its implications. Here's the implication. Implication is you can call a pandemic and cause fear and hysteria over a very small number of deaths, if any, that are not really out of line or out of keeping with the seasonal cold. So this is about nothing but control and fear.
To quote Biden, you are killing people.
Yeah,
You
so
you
Just
are
for the
killing
record,
people.
I didn't bring up
Polluting-
COVID-19.
Yeah,
What
we,
about
we
the
can
suicide
we
from the
can get away
lockdown?
from
What
this
about the people
subject.
losing their
That'll
business
be
for
better.
killing people. You
what
are
about the
killing
people?
people.
What about the people killing themselves from suicide, loneliness, and
suicide
losing their
on
businesses and having to go and get a UBI check?
suicide actually decreased from
It's not
2019 to
suicide.
2020 by
You're-
5.2%. So try again, Lemon Bird. So if you also
sorry.
take a look at this this graph that I showed you here, it showed a massive spike. This is a 5-year average almost.
In Canada, why don't you check
oh, no,
Canada,
the-
dude? Because
yeah, so hold
Canada, there
on.
was a spike in suicide and opioid
Hold
deaths,
on.
overdoses.
This is in the United States.
But that's a spike in your graph, all the people killing themselves.
No, so suicides is actually on the decline in 2020 by 5.2% from the previous year. Went
Yeah,
from 47,000 to 43,000.
So I really don't want to have a debate about pandemic.
Okay, we can have a debate about the larger problem, which is the lack of critical thinking skills and the projection of paranoid
Give me an
ideation
example.
onto
Hold on.
political features.
Listen, hold on. Narrow it down and be specific into one specific thing that I said. What would that be? What are you using? Tell me.
Your belief, you said something about Marxism and being promoted as for some nefarious reasons.
I gave you a really green light there. I even gave you flat earth on a plate when I told you that there is a movement to basically put, in my opinion, I can see there's a movement to discredit all institutions. Now, what tool could you use that I see as a very valid tool to really rip a new one into the institution's asses is flat earth.
My criticism of that.
Hold on, Brenda. I'm not done. I gave that to you on a plate, and you glanced right over that. I told you that Marxism could be. Hold on. I told you that Marxist ideology. They believed in flat Earth, dude. Karl Marx was the flat earther, right?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, he was. Yes, go read the literature. Prince of Darkness. There's a book called Prince of Darkness. Go read it. Type in flat Earth.
That doesn't sound like a scholarly work, so I think I'll ignore that.
Yeah. There you go.
You see,
do what you
the problem
want.
is what's the problem of having discretion about what you read. Do
you understand how weird it is? Really, how weird it is? This guy doesn't want to have Karl Marx associated with flat Earth, right? You guys have to think about what that means. You have to think about what that means. This guy's a government agent.
So
and I just brought up Karl Marx, and he's defending the guy, right? What's a commonality? What's commonality?
And you're looping into paranoia because you think I'm a
What's the
government
paranoia?
agent.
Really?
Did
I say that?
Because I put
right.
CIA after my name, it triggered the fuck out of you. Didn't
tell me more.
So anyway,
my name.
Data. Why would they need to start a flat Earth movement, to discredit and hurt the reputation of the government when they've
Russian
already done an
psyops?
excellent job of that themselves?
Because the Russians are constantly engaging in psyops in order to try and lower confidence in the United States government and trusting the United States government as well as all of our.
It's all.
So, in your opinion, flat Earth is a Russian conspiracy now to demoralize the United States population.
What is your evidence for that?
That sounds like a conspiracy theory to me.
Well,
that is my conspiracy theory because it's coming from Russia, who pretty much wrote the book.
Wait till he finds out the Masons. Wait till he finds out about the Masons, right?
I know about the Masons. My
Russia wrote the book on
psyops. The Masons. What influence
Hey,
does Masons have in flat Earth? What influence do you think?
Don't care, but let me make one point to you. Their chief squatting dog. Have you ever heard of the UK-USA agreement?
No.
The multilateral agreement for cooperation in signals intelligence between the Five Eyes. The Alliance of Intelligence Operation, also known as the Five Eyes. I mean, for you to sit there and say that there's no such thing as the Five Eyes, they each have an intelligence agency, right? Or multiple.
Yes.
They each have intelligence. They each cooperate, right?
Mm-hmm.
They share data, information, tools, all that shit, right?
Yes, when investigating terrorists.
Oh, just terrorists, right? Okay.
What's a
So the Five Eyes is a thing then, correct? Squatting Bull?
Oh yeah,
Dog,
yeah.
whatever.
So the Five Eyes, right, engages in a terrorist hunting.
Is the Five Eyes a thing? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, because you said earlier that that was fact check and the Five Eyes was
Oh
found
no,
not
so
to be a thing.
I may have misspoke, and what I tried to say was like the Five Eyes trying to investigate, and gather information on every single U.S. citizen, to
They're saying
avoid
it's not a
is
thing.
just not a
Wait,
thing.
isn't that easy to do though?
Wait, are you privy to all of their commands and everything that they do every single day? Are you like on their list, their email list? They let you know what they're up to. Is that how that works?
It was basically a sleight of hand straw man, and then he misspoke. Okay.
He has faith in the government essentially and doesn't think that they're going to use it for nefarious purposes. That faith is admirable, but possibly misplaced. Conspiracy analysis may be a problem for some people on a psychological level, but it appears to be the only way to accurately analyze history, facts, and other situations based off of the conspiracy motives of the people in power and why they move the chess pieces in a certain way.
Yeah, so I'm
That
not
was
really
a
finding
circular
anything on
argument.
Marx being a flat earther.
Brenda, you
But
said
wait
it
a
was a
second.
circular argument. In what way?
You said that conspiracy arguments were the only way to confirm conspiracy arguments.
No, conspiracy arguments are a very novel way to analyze history based off of the motivation.
In order to correctly perceive the conspiracies, that's what you said.
Here to group together to get their will accomplished, aka a conspiracy.
Right, that's circular.
Circular by saying that it's a good method of analysis, essentially?
Well, it's objectively not.
It's objectively not a good analysis to look at historical facts and then use those to judge the actions that are happening.
The inference is objectively a bad or fallacious inference.
So you're saying that powerful men do not group together and collude to get their will accomplished? Is that what
that's not what I said.
That's implied.
No, it's not. That's the false. That's the false
people
inference.
do that, and why would a conspiracy analysis of history not be warranted or justified?
So do you understand? You understand the false inference you just made? Groups of people come together to act in their own self-interest. Therefore, when I see things that seem to indicate an act of self-interest, I can infer that groups of people came together for that purpose. That is affirming the consequent. It's a fallacy.
So conspiracy analysis appears to be one of the only ways to accurately analyze history, all the way from Lincoln's assassination, Caesar's assassination, wars, intrigue, spikes in the market, all of that stuff.
Yes, fallacious inferences are the only way to reach fallacious conclusions. You're correct.
So at what point?
They're fallacious because the establishment isn't giving their seal or stamp of approval on it. But when the established media is fake and you're getting questionable sources that they control, well, then it's time to basically draw your own conclusion.
That's begging the question. You assumed that they're fake.
It's begging the question to say that they're trustworthy in light of their perfidy and their lack of trustworthy activity.
Right. So you haven't the slightest idea how to think critically. That's what all of this problem is.
Hey, Brenda, can you name any conspiracy that you? Can you name any conspiracy theory, Brenda, that you think is true or has been proven true?
Enron conspired to
government.
Enron and the company conspired to disrupt power supply on the West Coast, and thereby raising prices and profiting from that. They disrupted the power supplies on the West Coast. Right. It was a criminal act.
Government
Every
conspiracy,
criminal act,
Brenda.
You know, two idiots getting together,
government conspiracy,
conspiring
Brenda.
to rob a bank. Robbing a bank, that would be a conspiracy.
Government conspiracy, Brenda. Can you name any government conspiracy that you think is true?
COINTELPRO was shown to be correct. The government, U.S. government, was spying on leftist organizations back in the 60s and 70s.
Okay, that's a good one. So COINTEL was. Do you think that's the
Yeah.
only one that there's been?
No, there are probably others. Yes.
Yeah. So why
The
exactly would we
inference, it's
start
the-
off with
it's
the
the-
assumption
Wait,
that
there's
these are
others?
trustworthy
It's
people?
the inference that is wrong. It's going from. Let me put it this way. It's the difference between, if it is raining, the street will be wet. The street is wet, therefore it's raining. That is affirming the consequent. It is a fallacy. So
Half of your
if
globe
there's a,
proofs
if there's
are
a
affirming the
conspiracy,
consequent fallacies.
so I'm gonna draw this out for you, and I think you'll like it. So if it rains, the street will be wet. The street is wet, therefore it rained is a fallacious inference. If it rains would be like, if government agencies conspire, then the street will be wet. We can analog that to there will be some kind of government action in the public, right?
No,
So
that was
the problem is inferring from there was some kind of government action, therefore the government conspired to produce that action. That's affirming the consequence.
Would the right approach be for us to think about government and media information and action? Would the right approach to be to immediately assume that they are telling the truth?
The right approach is to be skeptical and to use correct logical inferences and not fallacious inferences, like affirming the consequence.
No one has used any fallacious
Brenda,
inferences. This is a straw man that you made up
You're
during this
notorious
conversation.
for that. The flat
Brenda,
earth
do you know-
community is notorious for being unable to even understand the simplest.
You made up this straw
logical
man.
inference.
You're painting us with a broad brush. You're just a fallacy fountain.
Brenda, did you know that they updated the Smith-Mundt Act in 2013? So that was an act that was passed in Congress so that they weren't allowed to propagandize Americans through the American media. And in 2013, they changed that. So now it's legal for the government to propagandize Americans.
And
Did you
so
know that?
that's
Brenda's actually
that's
hold
the-
on, Brenda. One
that's-
second.
that's
Can I
the
have 1
street
second,
being
please, Brenda?
wet.
Please.
That's the street
Brenda,
being wet.
Can I have
and
1 second, please?
You're inferring that there was a conspiracy.
Hold on. Let her respond, and then you can go, Jeremy.
Right. So that's his street is wet part. He says there was a change to a law, and from that, he's inferring there was a conspiracy to change that law for nefarious reasons. That is affirming the consequent.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Is that what he did, or I wasn't paying attention that closely?
No,
I
he's
just
just
heard
making
Brenda
something
committing a
up.
stereotype. I just heard Brenda committing a stereotype fallacy just now. With all you flat earthers do this.
Well, actually, my point was that now it's legal for them to propagandize Americans, right? And so they can put out false stories in the media, and that's perfectly legal. Why do you think they would make that change and then not do that?
Right. What is the conclusion you're reaching from that?
The conclusion I make that they perform false flags, that they do these things
Yeah.
and they lie to you right in the media, and now it's
Yeah.
actually legal for them to do it.
That's affirming the consequent. It's a logical fallacy.
Well,
You're
it's
going-
not.
you're
When you examine the evidence, you can see that that's not the
Yeah, but
case.
you're going from the street is wet to therefore it must have rained, and ignoring
No, I would take
other
the Boston
explanations.
Marathon.
You're
I would take
ignoring
the
other
Boston Marathon
explanations.
bombing. I would
That
take
was
the
a
Boston
terrorist
Marathon.
act. That was a terrorist act by.
That's the story they
couple
tell
of
you
ter-
on
No,
the
it's not.
television.
That's
That's
true.
the story they tell you on the television,
that's
right?
not
But
true.
there's
That's
lots
not
and lots
true.
of evidence that shows you that that was a false flag.
That's not
There
true.
were
That's
two
the main
different
point of
photog-
conspiracy theory, Brenda, not going where they try to lead to formulate and control the narrative, since they can't be trusted, since they don't report on all the news, and some of their analysis is questionable, it's spotty, it has holes, and it appears to protect powers that should never be.
There's plenty of evidence that that was not a terrorist act and that no one was injured, no one was killed. There's lots of evidence. There's a
No,
couple
there
of
is.
different
There is.
documentaries. There's a couple of
There's
different documentaries.
there's
You're
literally
just saying
video of
nuh-uh.
people
You're
with
just saying
blown
nuh-uh.
off limbs. You're shitting on the memories of people who were killed by this vicious
Oh,
terrorist.
get out of
There's
here with
literally
that shit.
video. There's literally video of people with dangling limbs that have been blown off by the terrorist.
It's
Which
amazing.
one
There's
was
a,
this?
there's a documentary called Attack of the Trouser Bomb.
Do we attribute it to, what was it, Afghanis? Do we attribute it to the government? Who do we attribute it to properly? And it honors the victims to find out who actually did it and get them truth and
It was
justice.
Ozakar Sarnev. That's who did it.
Yeah, they investigated, they figured out who did it, and they figured out his motive. I think they did a pretty damn good job of that.
You got no credibility, squatting dog.
They had a court
Quiet.
case where his lawyer was the federal defense attorney, right? And she said in her opening statement, my client did this, he's guilty, but really we should ask the reasons why. No legitimate defense attorney would ever say that. There were two different photographers who took photographs of the entire incident. Photographs are out there. You can see that it was staged. There was a lot of.
I saw it. I saw it on television.
You saw it on television, therefore it must be real. You should check out a documentary called "The Attack of the Trouser Bombs." You can find it on BitChute.
So you're saying,
Attack of the Trouser Bombs. It's amazing how people.
Attack of the Trouser Bomb.
Yes,
the trouser. It's next to the trouser snake. It's next to his.
They had
trouser bomb is next to his trouser snake.
Well, you guys, no reason to talk over each other.
And yet they were uninjured, no blood.
Yeah, I watched on television.
You may not like what he's saying, but you don't need to talk over him.
Yes. Hold on. What were you saying, Farming? What were you saying?
Look up. There's two different documentaries out there. One's called the Boston Unbombing, and there's another one called Attack of the Trouser Bombs.
Do you see any big inconsistencies that make us really question that narrative on some way? Was there something that popped out to you that made you say, let's question this? Anything at all?
There were two different photographers who weren't part of the mainstream media. They were just normal people, and they were in elevated positions kind of above the two bombing scenes. And they both took a series of photographs, and you can see from those photographs that the story that they give, the narrative that they won, the one they laid out in the court case, is not what actually happened. That
Dude,
guy.
I'm looking through this. I can't figure out what you're talking about.
Yeah, if you can link
you're
it,
gonna be lost, squatting dog. You should
it
just
was
go
the
on mute.
Boston Unbombing.
I'll throw links in the main chat.
Boston Unbombing, because it is interesting when the narrative, falls apart because of inconsistencies.
The other
what inconsistencies there were.
You can go look up Dave McGowan. He was a blogger that died in like 2016, but he has a blog. It's the Center for Informed America, and he wrote extensively about it. He wrote about 16 different articles about it. And
Did you get any sort of reason as to why this would have possibly been not what we thought it was? I don't want to say, a staged fake or whatever. What would be the reason? Did you get that? Because there would have to be a compelling reason for that. Did you get anything from that?
It's to gin up the terrorism fear, right? The fear of terrorism, to give more power to the police. That's
same reason they have
what
to
I
frame these, half-wits as masterminds of the next terrorist attack that they foil. And then come to find out these people couldn't even tie their own shoes without direction, have to be driven to get the weapons, told what to do, given the money, given the ammunition, and then busted.
Yeah, the FBI's done that literally like
terrorism for war or something like that.
Yes, and the FBI's done that literally like 300 times. What Brandon just said is that they've, funded these people, encouraged them to do these plots, and then, turned around and arrested them. Literally, it's been done.
In that case, we need to explore this. Otherwise, more people will die in pointless terrorist war. But I'll have to look into it.
Yeah, this
dude,
PK stuff that Farming Ganja is bringing up, this is a very interesting video, watch it, draw your own conclusion. I've got it on screen right now. Whichever way you come down on it, you should watch this because I thought it was pretty compelling.
So part of the problem is having an unfiltered information stream, right? So you just take anything that confirms your belief. That's called confirmation bias.
No, we
So
don't
how is the
take anything.
mainstream
that
media
is what it's
unfiltered?
called.
How,
That
how
is
is
what it's
the
called.
mainstream
that's
media
incorrect.
is the
Give me an
exact
example.
opposite of the mainstream media is the exact opposite of unfiltered.
Yeah, what the hell are you talking about, Brenda?
I'm saying
You
that
want
when
the
you go
government
out-
and the Mockingbird media to curate all the information that we ingest?
No, you should. You should
Tell me how to
curate
do
your
that,
media,
because last time I
do.
asked you how to research something, you told me to Google it.
And then use your critical thinking skills, right, to assess the probability and the likelihood of such and such some guy in a basement, right, posting videos versus somebody who actually is in a position to know which one
And
is
guess
more
where that
likely
led
to
me,
be true.
Brenda? Here. That's how I got here, is I went and looked for my own information, and I didn't just listen to people in their basement or their studio or wherever they're coming from and looked for the source information. That's what happens when you use critical thinking. You don't become a mindless zombie who doesn't think that the government has ever committed any conspiracy theories.
I've never said that the government has never committed any conspiracies.
I was referring to your comrade squatting dog.
I don't know that he said that.
Well, close enough.
You and some of the others here have a tendency to be uncharitable in your readings of what other people
Brenda,
say.
you're killing people, Brenda. You're killing people.
So are you back to get
shit.
reamed again, Phase One?
No. He had
Did
a good
you
point.
see the
We're
irony in that,
uncharitable.
Brenda?
You told
How
us we were
said
killing
that we
people.
were killing people, and you say he says it back to you. Did you get the irony? Did you learn the pivotal lesson there, Brenda?
I'm just repeating what the President of the United States has correctly said. Is
Brenda
that
is
when
a man.
people spending
Brenda is a man.
people sending
That's like chromosome.
Calm and lucid for rational discussion. What were you saying, Brenda?
People spreading malicious lies about and unscientific facts about vaccines have the consequence that people die because they take that advice. So the medias like Facebook and others and Fox News that spread lies about vaccines have the consequence that people die as a result of their lies.
Hey, Brenda,
Joe,
has the vaccine killed anybody? Has the vaccine led to medical issues that have led to the death of anyone?
I can send you a link right now
No,
to
hold
an
on.
article.
Brenda,
There's 4,500 deaths directly related
hold on,
to the
Tina,
vaccine.
God dang it, Brenda. Has it?
There's been a handful of people who have said,
It's just a
me, I
yes
had
or
to
no
cough.
question. That's all.
I had to cough. So
Just
there's
a yes
been a
or no
handful of
question.
people. There's been a handful of people who have had anaphylactic shock because of the virus. It's just a handful.
So it's a yes then. It has led to the deaths of
A
some people,
handful
correct?
of people out of the millions and millions of doses have led to anaphylactic shock. Regular vaccines can lead to adverse conditions, reactions by people. It's still better than letting the virus go unaddressed.
Sure. Well, we'll save this for another time. Let's not get too deep into this. Data, you can send me that information. I didn't mean to cut you off. I wanted Brenda to answer that though.
I just put a photograph in the chat there. It's 4,100 deaths anyway, directly related to the vaccines.
Yeah, that's false. You don't know how to read statistics.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, keep going.
Good conversation. Okay, so interesting thing happened last week. Well, I guess it was interesting. We talked about it, I believe, on Friday. Branson and his very expensive, much anticipated flight to the quote unquote edge of space, about, I think it was 58 miles up just short of the Kármán line, was made up to be a big deal by a lot of people and somehow twisted by some into evidence that the Earth is a globe, which is silly. No one on here would be that dumb to.
Did he report seeing? Did he report seeing the
so
curve?
I'm in the middle of just breaking this down here. So what's interesting is that Mr. Neil deGrasse Tyson wasn't that impressed by it. In fact, he is essentially saying, "What's the big deal? We did this 60 years ago. Why is this anything?" Totally unimpressed, which is exactly what we said last week. Isn't it funny that Neil deGrasse Tyson said the same exact thing that we said on this show last week? Huh. What do you think?
It's a big deal.
What do you think, Bob? What do you think about Branson's edge of space flight? If you can talk. Bob, the science guy. No, he can't talk.
He's muted. So the big deal is that it's by a private industry and not the government. That's the big deal.
So I should care who cuts the paycheck for something?
Because it's going to lead eventually to space tourism.
Sure.
Hey, Brenda, just out of curiosity, haven't we had balloon technology for like the last at least 60, 70 years? Do you think it's a little odd that we haven't provided like a consistent way to go 60,000 feet in a balloon ride? You know?
Brandon, can you hear me?
Yeah, so
Hey, Bob.
We have the technology, right?
The audio is kind of bad.
Yeah, so I'm watching through this this fucking pseudo documentary you linked, or the one going over the Boston bombing, and this guy.
Yeah, we're talking about something else right now, but we can we can go back to that in a minute.
So the significance,
Bob. So yeah, I don't know if you heard me, Bob, but what do you think about this Branson's edge of space flight?
I thought it was great.
What particularly did you think was great about it? Just out of curiosity. I mean, I think it's awesome. They went for a cool plane ride, but what did you think was great?
Well, they went for a rocket ride into the edge of space. That's the cool thing about it, and they did it as a private individual with a self-financed rocket. You know, you guys absolutely loved Mad Mike Hughes, that he was sending this little rocket up. He was the darling of the flat Earth till he wasn't. But this is exactly what you guys have asked. It was solid proof of curvature. It was solid proof of gravity. And quite frankly, I mean, the flat Earth debate's kind of over now. So
no, not really. You think this ended it? You think this ended the flat Earth debate?
Great, so get out of here.
Oh, it's been ended a long time, but this, this definitely destroyed it. You betcha.
I mean, that is the most delusional thing that I have heard in a long time. I got to be honest with you. First of all, 60 miles isn't even breaking the Kármán line. It's not even as high as the ISS.
Yes, Brandon, it is breaking
1/4 of the ways up.
Brandon,
what's that?
It is breaking the Kármán line. It is breaking the Kármán line. What's the Kármán line?
60 miles, right?
85 kilometers. 85 kilometers per Kármán.
Is it 60 miles still? Or did they change it?
No, it's 85 kilometers. It's about 54 miles. And the United States, where this occurred, considers the edge of space 50 miles, and he did 56. So he busted both of them.
Okay. Not that it matters, but this was also done in 1959. We looked it up on Friday. Actually, they went higher in the, what is it, X-15?
Yep.
So this is a 60-year-old stunt that was done much the same way, to be honest. It was done back in 1959.
Yep.
It was just done by a different person who was getting paychecks. Non-governmental. So this 60-year-old thing that we already acknowledge has happened, that no one says, no, the X-15 never flew. The X-15 never went to 65 miles or whatever it was.
Brandon, why are you constantly talking over me? You said something, you made a statement, I went to respond, and you kept talking over me. May I respond?
I wasn't done talking. See, when someone's done talking, then you start talking, but go ahead. The
difference was it's non-governmental, so you don't have that excuse anymore. Yes, the X-15 went up. It went to the edge of space. It saw the curve of the Earth. It was well documented, but you guys don't believe that because it was NASA. Well, this isn't NASA. This is private enterprise doing this. This is something any of you could have done. All right. Have you entered into the lottery to get 2 free tickets so that you could go see for yourself?
No, it's too dangerous.
Okay, great. So if you don't want to take the risk, you have to accept the word of those that did. End of
No, I
discussion.
don't. That's not how things work.
That's retarded. No, you don't. You don't have to accept the word of anyone ever if you don't want to. That
By
would
the
be
way,
part of
I'd like to
human
see your
freedom.
evidence that they saw the curve of the Earth. I don't even think
You
that's
saw
like,
the
even
curve of the
Neil
Earth
deGrasse
from the
Tyson's
photos.
not dumb enough to claim that.
You saw the curve of the Earth from the photos from the shot, and it's right in my video. So what's your point there?
I saw it curving up. I saw it curving down. I saw it flat. Which one was the
No,
real
you
shape, Bob? Yeah.
No, you did not.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're going to have to go ahead and show that to me because I looked at it from the rear-facing camera, which is not a fisheye lens or a wide-angle lens. And it definitely was curved no matter what position it was in the frame. Plus,
Share it
it
with
was
us.
not curved. Plus, it was not curved prior as it was being released.
Okay. How come Neil deGrasse Tyson says that you wouldn't see the curve of the Earth at
I don't give a shit.
240,000 miles?
Who cares?
Well, he keeps saying it. I'm just
say whatever
curious
he wants.
why this guy that is
40,000 miles?
supposedly one of your
He can say
brightest
whatever he
scientists,
wants, Brandon.
one of your greatest science communicators, and the guy they choose to parade out in front of everybody and say how much of a genius he is.
This is a problem. This is a
I'm fine with
problem.
that. I don't have any issue with that. But Neil deGrasse Tyson doesn't define science for me, or you.
Well, this is kind of what they do. You Brandon and some of the others kind of have this hero worship kind of attitude about scientists. So we don't worship scientists. They're not priests. Science is not a religion.
And he's been known to be wrong. And quite
So-
frankly, I don't agree with what
Hold
he
on.
said.
How high up did he say you'd have to be to see curvature?
I don't know. Go look it up.
It is a priesthood when you can never be proven wrong.
I was
How big
reading
do you have
papers
to be?
today, by the way, that demonstrate that curvature can easily be seen from 35,000 feet. It's somewhere
How
between
big does
14
a
and
man have?
35,000 feet, and I've seen it lower than that.
You guys claim you can see the ground level, so where's the proof of that?
You can see the ground level going away from you. You betcha.
Yeah, you can definitely get a panorama and compress it down.
Yeah, if you
Hold on.
don't care about science, you can
Well,
do
there's
something stupid like that.
yeah, there's nothing unscientific about compressing an image.
Oh yeah, okay.
Actual comment about the topic instead of crying about irrelevant shit.
Yeah, I mean, you can easily see it. I mean, Jay Tolan Media One put out a beautiful shot of the curve of the Earth on one of his videos where he was trying to claim you could see mountains.
Right.
You know, he was confusing mountains for clouds.
Right, right.
Or clouds for mountains, I should say.
Okay. Well, if that's what you want to think.
So I can sum it up. The reason that him going into to the edge of space is why it's significant is because it heralds a new era of space tourism in which companies will be competing to deliver people and other payloads like satellites into Earth orbit. And this will be a private endeavor. And so in the future, we will see the prices for this come down to, I mean, when I was young, in the 60s, airplane service was pretty much for only the very rich people who could afford it. And now you can, it's just $100 or so, you can grab a short flight, hop to Los Angeles. You know,
It used to cost an item's weight in gold to send them into space, and now it's about their weight in silver.
And that will happen to space travel also. The future envisioned is to have these ships able to take you from, say, you can hop halfway across the globe, you know, from New York to Japan or wherever. or to the Middle East and stuff like that within a few minutes. And there's people for whom that would be a valuable thing to do, and they'll pay for it. And then those people who invest in it now will bring the cost down. That's how companies work. You know,
You're describing a faster plane. That's what you're describing now.
Yeah, the first automobiles were owned by very wealthy people who could tinker with them, right? And they're really more hobbies than they were. But eventually, the price of automobiles came down to where most people can afford one.
Automobiles, color televisions, microwave ovens, Betamax machines, cell phones. Look at the price that all of these things have had.
Well, computers.
It's like you guys put out another color television and said, "Hey, look, we just invented the color television." But you actually did it 60 years ago. That's what this is like.
The computer I'm using right now is orders of magnitude more powerful than the CDC VAX 6000 or any of the other computers that were used in the past. It's just a huge amount of computing power.
Hey, when did Burt Rutan first do this with his Spaceship One? Do you know when that was?
No idea.
It was 2004.
Okay, is that significant?
Yeah, it's been 17 years for it to become this
so it took
thing
a long
where they
time.
can just take multiple people.
Yeah.
So if you saw that, why are you still talking about flat Earth when you knew that went up in 2004 and you could see it for yourself? Why are you still doing it?
Well, because in 2004, I thought to myself, gee, within a few years, people will be doing these suborbital flights like you're talking about. They'll be doing those on the regular. And I watched as it took 17 years, basically, for it to actually come into something, for them to just go up and basically do the same thing again that he had done in 2004.
So, do they have to do it on your timeline? Did you fund it?
No, not at all. Not at all, Dr. Bob. Not at all.
All right. Well, then, unless you want to fund it, you don't get to tell them when they're going to do it. They'll do it when they're damn well ready.
Well, they can do whatever they want. Oh, go ahead.
I do fund the SLS, and I've noticed that since around 2002, 2004, they've spent between that constellation, Orion, and the SLS, they've spent about $50 billion, NASA and Boeing, and they haven't put a single person into space using that money.
We put people in space all the time.
That's right, and they haven't done enough tests. They haven't done enough tests with that.
Yeah, we have. We know how to do things. We know how to. Yes, we have. Yes, we do.
It looks to me more like a pretend jobs program in corporate welfare rather than a serious attempt at space travel.
There's nothing wrong.
That's your opinion, and quite frankly, you're entitled to it. I'm also entitled to tell you that's silly, but no big deal.
So there's nothing wrong with the government offloading its operations onto private industry. That's how we benefited from the trip to the moon. A lot of the things that were created by the government for that trip, like Velcro,
we never went
other technologies.
to the moon.
Hold on, let her finish.
Go to the moon.
Yeah, you don't know
Velcro
what
wasn't
the second
invented
law
by NASA.
Well, it was created in order to serve the needs of the program.
No, that was like 100 years earlier.
We benefited from it.
Another dude made it.
We benefited from it. They made use of it.
In 1949, he went for a walk in the Alps and wondered why burdock seeds clung to his woolen socks. That predates NASA.
Yeah,
right. And they buying the technology and then making use of it made it more popular and more widespread.
So did Nike.
Man. 3 words.
Who cares?
Cosmic rays and radiation.
So what else besides Velcro? What else besides Velcro did the space industry give us? The trip to the moon.
Water filtration or advanced water filtration to allow for
water filtration was invented by NASA.
Yeah, well, NASA invented a means of extracting water from human waste and sanitizing that, and now we use that as a mainstream use for recycling water from our
No,
waste.
that's been done before NASA. That was done before NASA.
Oh, really?
That was done.
Can you give me a source that NASA invented that, please?
Yeah, let me get a hold of it for you.
But Brenda said lots of things. What else, Brenda?
Yeah, why don't you just go to the NASA website and look up all of the technology that's come out of the space program? They've got web pages on web pages of it. Go look. Do your own research.
I'm just wondering what special knowledge we gained by supposedly going to the moon, and from what I can tell, not much.
We learned how to go to the moon.
Yeah, that's useful, huh? We didn't go back for 50 years, 60 years because
Wait,
it was...
I'm a little confused. Hey, Dr. Bob, maybe you can help me out. I'm a little confused because you talk about, taking a certain duration of time to achieve personal goals of theirs, and they can do whatever they want because it's not about money or whatever technology. I'm confused by your line of thinking in the sense that, do you think they don't have technology right now to even do high altitude balloons with passengers? Do you think that doesn't exist? They can go 60,000 feet. Where in your mind is that gap of time not utilized by the affirmation in your mindset that they have all this technology but don't utilize it? When they do utilize it, it'll be up to them. Where's this gap of time go in your head?
Absolutely, great question. Yeah. What do you say to that?
So
Dr.
the
Bob?
the NASA created an electrolytic silver
No, that's for Bob. That's for Bob, dude. I just wanted to ask Bob, where's this time in your mind go to the point where commercialized, space flight for 60,000 feet is not possible? Why don't we have more of that going on in your mind? I mean, if man is so advanced and we can go to the moon, why aren't we offering this up like sliced pie, man?
Bob is muted.
Taxpayers' money, by the way. They're using taxpayers' money, by the way.
It's a good use.
Interestingly, water distillation is NASA has never mentioned in its history, nor in the entire Wikipedia article.
It is water purification. Hold on, there is water purification systems. The most specific one that they use, which is now the mainstream one that countries all around the world use, is an electrolytic silver iodizer to purify astronauts' drinking water. This technology is now widely used to kill bacteria in
Come on, even your mind. In your mind, dude, why isn't there commercial balloon fight 60,000 feet? Is there just not enough demand for it? We don't have the technology. What is it?
You want to go?
What is it?
Do you want to go?
Commercial balloon fights? What do you mean?
Yeah. Do you want to go up in a balloon?
If they could offer flights, if they offered flights for a reasonable price, let's say normal person would pay $1,000 to go to Mexico or something like that. If they had balloon flights, commercial flights, well, that's what it would be, right?
Don't you think jets can get you there quicker?
Yeah, so they had.
You want to be less. You want to turn it in commercial, right? So the whole point is you don't need to go 150,000 feet. Right? I'm just saying, why doesn't it exist? Is it a lack of demand or technology? What is it in your guys'?
There's not really a big demand anymore to go out on blimps. They used to have blimps.
Being offered.
They used to
being offered.
Yes, because nobody wants it. They used to have balloon cruises. Do you know what happened to balloon cruises?
No.
Yes.
Expose a lot of lies.
Do you know what the
NASA.
Hindenburg
It would
was?
Expose a lot of lies.
Do you know what the Hindenburg was, Jin?
Yeah, we know what.
What's the Hindenburg?
Yeah, that might be a hint. It's just a hint.
Dude, you just parrot back these stories, man.
Oh yeah, it's the well-documented story.
The reason why we don't have advanced commercial high altitude commercial flights other than aircraft like planes, it's because the Hindenburg existed once.
Yeah, so the Hindenburg actually
it could have existed, but they used a material that was definitely flammable. And
then a gas that was also flammable.
This is
they didn't destroy the technology. The technology is able to be recreated. It's going to take a lot of effort to build these blimps once again.
Yeah, but the thing is, it was sabotage, wasn't it? It was sabotage. So
we had the technology,
because
but we lost
it can
and it's a painful process to rebuild it.
There's a drinking water
low altitude flight.
Hey, shout out to the Science of Science, $5. Does convex equal a globe? Seems like bad logic. I agree. Couldn't agree more. And then the Science of Science again, $2. NASA invented the technology for CGI. And there's a lot of truth to that. I don't know if they were the first ones to mess around with computer graphics. I did watch a video on the history of computer graphics, and there was some earlier attempts, but they definitely put it to good use. I think the other attempts that were previous to NASA were for like art projects and films and stuff, and then NASA put it to use, and they've sure advanced it since then, as we all know, right? I think there might have been one more super chat that I'm missing. I gotta get on top of this shit. No, I think that's it. Thank you, Science for Science. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yo,
Hey,
just hook up a balloon.
Yeah, you can just hook up a balloon and you can get hydrogen and oxygen. In fact, you can split up which gases you get based off of if it's the positive charge or the negative charge of the battery you stick in. So you can easily create a like two test tubes that are linked together by another little tube, have little opposite ends running through each of those, the wires running through those, and then collecting gases on either side. Just a FYI.
But the fear porn conspiracy comes in when we can't fly that high and get any hydrogen because NASA's taking it all.
No,
for their
you're thinking of helium. Hydrogen's able to be getting a hold of by fucking anybody. Helium is the thing that's lacking because, again, helium, you're not really able to create new helium. All the helium that we currently have exists underneath massive cave structures underground that come from a nuclear decay.
NASA's the main number one consumer, isn't it? NASA's the main consumer of this helium.
Yeah.
And it's funny how they brought 21. Hang on a second. What about the 21 cameras that they brought to bear on this Richard Branson fiasco? And they used GoPro fisheye lenses. Come on, man. 21 cameras.
I mean, GoPro fisheye lenses.
Angles. Yes, they were using the
They have lots of videos from the Branson flight.
Yep, GoPro distortion. That's NASA's main go-to. You saw something similar with the what was it? The Mage project from Mr. Sensible. You can see one of his cameras with that kind of GoPro distortion effect.
Actually, Mage had no distortion on it, and it was very, very well documented to specifically not have distortion and be able to measure what tiny amount there was. Try again. There was no GoPro on the Virgin Galactic ship either.
Huh. It's hard to distinguish the curvature of the land.
You know,
the curvature of the land.
The vomit number 2.
All right, Lemon.
Unity vomit comet. That's what that was.
Brenda owes me $1,000.
Yeah, so NASA also gave us the ear thermometer home installation. So space is was it that one gel? I forgot what it was called. Aerogel NASA created.
How about this drinking water one? If NASA, the federal government, has technology to turn pee and poop into fresh drinking water, why is it that 43 million families in America say they have zero access to fresh drinking water?
It's expensive.
Yes.
But they're paying for it already.
What about the submarine?
43 million Americans don't have access to clean drinking water?
43 million households.
No,
I don't have access.
Yeah, look it up.
Four people per household, that's 160 million people, right?
Yes, that's because of our. That's because of our. That's because of our.
I need a citation for that one.
Yeah, so
look it up yourself.
Yeah, so even if that was the case,
hold on, I'm talking. Okay, Flint, Michigan, a whole city has no access to fresh drinking water.
Yes, because of their shitty ass pipes.
Listen. Okay, then you've got California. People in
so what's the point?
Yeah, what
if
about
NASA
California?
says they can turn straight up piss
so what? What's
into
the point?
drinking water?
What's
Where
the
is
point?
this technology?
So hold on, Crit. Are you actually insinuating that all the water that you ever use in your life you can just get right back from your piss and poo?
That's what NASA says.
No, that's not what NASA says.
Yeah, you can see a video on their website. You got Don Patet saying he takes a dump. And the machine goes chugga, chugga,
I understand,
chugga, chugga.
yes, and it gets the water from that. Yes, they also get the water from their piss, but there's also two other forms that the two other forms of water loss that you're missing.
Where is this form? Where is this technology?
So you lose water in your sweat, right?
Where is
Right,
this technology
right.
that can turn? Dude, you're interrupting. Where is this technology that can turn piss and shit
In all
into
of our
water?
water reclamation systems.
So why is there 43 million families without water?
Holy, they're not without water. They are without clean water because their pipe infrastructure is 40, 50 years old.
And that's not a true number either. It's not anything close to that.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt to say that that was the
No,
case.
he's
You look at Flint.
he's pulling numbers out of his ass.
I know he is. I know he is. But I have
Look at
to give
already
him.
the crying.
You guys want to hear a number?
What?
Brenda owes me $1,000.
Oh,
Chris
Bet she
Berry.
lost me.
What's up, man?
Live on Jose's. Lost a bet live on Jose's. Everyone heard it, and everyone admitted it. And then she said she wasn't going to pay me ever.
Brenda,
so
what's up? Why did you welch on the bet with Chris Berry? What's going on? What's the story there?
We're not obligated to
Yeah, you-
actually verbal bets over the internet. That's just nonsense.
Bullshit.
Did you make the bet with him or no?
Actually,
I'll,
there's actually a monetary amount that you actually have to sign for bets above I think it's $1,000 or $999.
Colin Dresser, $4.99. Brandon, do your show under your name and separate yourself from Runty. It is under my name. I don't think you find Ranty anywhere in here. Not sure what you're referring to, Colin.
Facilities all over the United States.
But thank you for the super chat.
Your local
So
city.
she pays me.
If you're within the United States.
Ashamed, please. It should be ashamed.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. When they,
should
have
be shamed and
nothing, when they have nothing, when they have nothing, they go to the insults.
man.
Yeah, so Crit, I implore you to actually go and take a tour of your nearest water treatment facility, because they use the same technology they got back from NASA, back I believe in the 60s. Yeah, the 1960s.
You don't know what you're talking. I just linked the article. Times Magazine. They just said 60 million people. That's even a higher number than I said.
American
60
clean
million.
drinking
I
water
said
crisis
43
goes
million.
far beyond Flint. There's no relief in sight.
You don't need to read
looking
out
for-
loud.
I'm looking for. You didn't even link the article. You linked a snippet. I don't even see any fucking numbers.
Is
on
that
there.
what this has come to, though? I mean, you have to defend NASA by claiming that they invented water distillation of some form.
No, you asked for you asked for an invention. I
I mean,
gave you
just
one.
think about that, though.
There's no way.
That's bullshit. What about the submarines? Submarines were doing that.
Nobody has to defend NASA.
More
for
than
anything.
30 million Americans lived in an area where water
NASA.
systems violated safety rules at the beginning of last year. So it's not even 60. Did you even read your own source, Chris or Crit?
It's
30.
Yeah, I just want to ask Scotty, this is what makes me giggle here, is that your comment, this shows because you're 26 years old, you said, oh, that's because they're 40, 50 years old, right? You think
No, I'm saying that according to these numbers, it says 30. It says, what was it? It is far from guaranteed. More than 30 million Americans lived in areas where water systems violated safety rules at the beginning of last year, according to data from Environmental Protection Agency, right? And if you actually read the article, a lot of it has to do with pipe contamination. But shit, I guess like reading might not be your forte, but that's fine. We can all read through together.
reading is definitely not my forte. 100 years old.
Put out the actual citation. Read the
PM
citation
You think
yourself.
40 years is a long time ago because you're 26 years old. That you have no perspective on the real world. You think 40 or 50 years ago is a long time. My pipes in my city are 100 years old. Now listen, 100 years old. What you think America had worse pipes than Australia 40 years ago? We're all the same, man. We use the same materials. You have a warped perspective on.
So what's the point?
So
again, he's saying, he's saying their water is bad because their pipes are 40 or 50 years old.
Their pipes were supposed to have been replaced.
Why don't you just talk all over me? That's a good idea.
Yeah, you let me actually get a point in instead of just repeating your same shit over and over again. So those pipes were supposed to be replaced 15 years to 20 years after installation. Here we are, 46 years after they've been installed.
Why? Why were they going to be replaced? What municipality What municipality puts infrastructure in that's got to be replaced 15 years later? Dig all the roads
Yeah,
up,
that's
all
right.
the
Well said. That's
absolute garbage.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
again,
it's
that's why they
garbage.
put them on the side of the road about 2 feet under, so it's ease of access to them. You just dig them back up and you cut the water off and replace the pipe. When you're dealing with lead pipes, they're often subject to shedding whenever you do a shocking treatment, in case there's any like groundwater seepage that would get contaminants within there. And when you have to go and shock the system, it creates freestanding lead which gets into your water. You also have iron pipes that suffer from the same instance of corrosion. The corrosion or the corrosion resistance layer that we put on the inside after constant water use, like constant water flow, gets weathered away. And now you're dealing with bare iron and nickel.
No, I thought they used porcelain.
Did you vote to pay the taxes to do that?
Do what? Yeah, I did
you
vote to.
pay the taxes
Yeah.
to do that? Because that's a lot more than just maintaining a water system. You'd have to vote for a millage to do that. Did you vote for that? Are you willing to pay an extra $100 a month?
I think he's talking to the flat earthers.
Oh, or who are you talking to?
Can we go back to talking about Brenda? I wanted to ask a question.
Replacing all the infrastructure every 15 years.
I wanted to ask a question to Brenda.
No, so it was with that specific pipe. And again, we have PVC pipes now that are able to handle quite a bit of pressure, or more plastic-based pipes, rather than this corrosive, like a non-corrosion resistant piping.
Do you think we didn't have PVC pipe in the 80s? Is that what you're thinking? We didn't have PVC
not
pipe
to the
in
wide
the
uses
1980s?
that we have now. Not with the same composition that we do now to allow it to withstand such high pressures. Yeah, we have PVC pipe. It was mostly for low pressure systems. Our
You saying
plastics have got
NASA
quite a
led
bit
to
more
and
advanced.
created PVC pipe, or what is the fucking argument? now,
No,
right?
no, I'm
Yeah,
saying
really,
that
can we get back-
the pipe that we installed so many years
I
ago
also found
that are
just
twice
quickly-
their shelf life should have been replaced.
Yeah,
And
cool.
again, that is why
Cool
you
story,
are
bro.
suffering instances with Flint, Michigan,
Yeah.
where your water contamination
Okay.
is through the roof, all coming back from your pipe systems.
Yeah, okay, shush now, just for a second. It took me a minute to connect my earbuds, Brandon. Sorry about this, but I'll just go back to the Hindenburg. I was laughing when they're saying that we got rid of balloons. That I think Data or Ewok or someone was talking about the dirigibles for travel because of the Hindenburg. Well, you think because of one air disaster they banned a particular? How many commercial
They didn't
aircraft
ban.
have crashed?
They didn't
Have we
ban.
gotten rid of it? Well, but why does anyone fly on a commercial aircraft given all the ones that have crashed and killed lots of people?
Well,
What on
It's
earth?
actually
would
safer. It's actually
would
safer than driving your car.
Ah, yes, in hindsight it is, Brenda. But if one thing crashes, the whole world doesn't stop flying. Just like if one balloon crashed in 1917 or whenever it was, the whole world wouldn't have said, "Oh, we're never getting on a balloon again." Like that is just nonsensical.
But let's not offer that. There aren't many airships doing these special travels at the moment. You get your blimps that are looking over sport events, things like that. But this luxury first class travel that was being offered back then stopped, didn't it, because of that crash? That's what
Yes, because people don't want to be burned alive.
Yes, when they saw
you can't connect some very simple dots in your brain. Is that right? That because of one disaster, one accident, everybody in the world said, "Oh, we're never going to get on one of those terrible balloons."
That's why corporations are very sensitive to public opinion. They always are.
You can take a look at
how did
Titanic.
Boeing survive? How did Boeing
so
survive?
you could take a look. Oh, because airplanes right now, first of all, are more of a necessity rather than a luxury good for many people. And so just like driving your
I'm all for dirigibles to come back.
No, but
I think
hold on.
making a comeback.
Yeah,
They should be making a comeback.
but again, back when when did that happen? Like the early 1900s, just before the Great Depression hit. 1937 was the Hindenburg.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got a Ford Pinto for sale.
Yeah, it was
Anybody want to buy it?
1937. So right on the
Anybody
so
want
right
to
on
buy a Ford Pinto?
hold on. So
Oh, you
right on
got
the
Somebody
would buy it, Randy. Yes,
so
definitely.
right on the
Somebody would buy it.
so right on the cusp of World War II, right? When these things were at their peak, and then the Hindenburg happened, and then again nobody wanted to get on these things when they saw the Hindenburg explode and people having to jump off the balloon on fire to their deaths, right? And then World War and then World War hold on, and then World War II and then World War
Ever
II
listen to
happened.
this kid? Ever listen to this kid telling us about what happened in 1937?
And then World War II happened, and then a lot of resources were taken away from more recreational, luxurious activities such as this to go towards the war effort, to the point where women were having to donate their stockings for the nylon to use for mortar shells.
Oh my God!
Oh well. There were huge advances in aviation, and the need for zeppelins and dirigibles was not there anymore.
Yeah.
We could do it with planes. We had massive advancements in aviation.
Also,
Hang on that logic. Hang on. On that logic, why are there sailboats still around today? Why is anyone sailing around the world?
Because they're fun. They're fun.
Or you don't think
What about the
balloons
Titanic?
would be fun to float around in?
No, because you're more likely to die in the balloon than you are in a sailboat.
No, you can hit an iceberg.
Yeah, so you can also take a look at the drop.
Because technology would not have advanced. Technology wouldn't have advanced with balloon manufacture in the last 80 or 90 years. Would
I
it?
don't know what to tell you.
We'd still be building these flying bombs. I'm sure. Wouldn't be any better materials
so
available now.
we use helium now in the balloons. So there's a much less of a risk of a fire outbreak. We also use fire retardant material.
Arguing my point. Yes, arguing my point.
Tell me one advantage that a dirigible has over an airplane. Tell me an advantage.
Recreation,
loitering time,
an experience.
You guys have chosen to argue about some very weird things tonight. Pipes and dirigibles. Colin Dresser, 1999 US, to launch your own platform. LOL. Yeah, I guess I don't understand what your point is, Colin, or what your problem is. But well, I do have respect for you. I can understand why you operate under your owner's channel. Colin, you're under a false impression of something, buddy. I'm sorry. Ranty has no, oh, that is one thing that somebody did mention, I should say. Ranty has no management or ownership of this channel. Zero. He hasn't for a long time. He can't post videos on it. He can't post messages on it. Ranty is not involved with this channel. He has no ownership of the Discord. He is completely gone, just in case anybody was wondering. So we can talk about why I took the channel over and whether that was the right decision some other time, but you're not making any sense, bro. Sorry. Thanks for the $20.
I mean, they're not all that expensive to go and float up.
You know what's going to be popular are like personal drones where you have like 6 or 8 rotors powered by electric motors. That
that's a lot safer than a balloon. Much safer. Oh yeah. What could go wrong with that?
Probably very little.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why you'd have
to pump out of factories in China. That'd be great. Yeah, I can just imagine the safety record that will.
Yeah. Well, it's fairly simple. It's pretty simple, right? It's 6 or 8 electric motors, and you have a battery, and then you have electronic controls. It's you know, and of course they'll put the research in. They'll put the research in to meet aircraft safety standards. So, you know.
Yeah. There's just not a demand, and that's why you don't really see them around. Not even like the only blimp that I ever really see is like the Goodyear blimp that occasionally comes by, and I think they even stopped doing that.
Look in the chat, right? There's new luxury blimps being made as we speak, ready for commercial enterprise.
How many? What are the passengers? How many passengers did
Why
they
do we
fly
even treat
last
these
year?
two like they know what the fuck
chart.
they're talking about? These guys have
How
to
many
know
passengers?
everything.
How many passengers did they fly last year?
I'm not even sure why we're arguing this. So why do you want to
We're
go up
finding out
60,000 feet?
It's Lockheed Martin. How many
Yeah.
how many people do you reckon they fly every year?
Lockheed Martin, the airline company, probably hundreds of
Quite a
thousands.
few, yeah, and they're making these new blimps, luxury blimps,
Yeah, luxury
hoping to
blimps.
become the super yachts of the sky.
Yeah, so they're bringing them back, I guess. Maybe there is a demand
How
for
many
like
people, how many people
a
climb Mount
high-end
Everest
for the
every year?
No,
luxury.
there can't be because Bob
Somebody's
said
mic
so.
is really
Remember?
bad.
So, yeah, it is. So the argument is that corporations will spend money and take the risk in order to introduce travel options, and they'll see if there's demand out there. Presumably, they do the research beforehand to see if there are customers who are willing to pay for it, right? And that's why they've invested into it. But the reason that the Hindenburg didn't lead to more popular things is because there was a negative image in the press, and there were better alternatives in the form of airplane travel. That's just how capitalism works.
Yeah,
Thank you for the business
Airships
lesson.
dropped like a stone off a mountain, man, plummeted. So that's what
You
happened.
have no idea what you're talking about. You're probably one of the dumbest people I've ever met in my life.
I feel commercially more stupid having listened to you. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you actually look at like the bookings for cruises after after the Titanic news broke out, there were a drop in the number of people that actually went out and bought cruise tickets.
And yet, funnily enough, cruise lines continued for the next 100 years after that.
Yes.
How about that? Even though,
Well, they did
how many
take
people died on the Titanic?
Because
how many people stop talking over me, man? How many people died on the Titanic?
I don't remember the exact number.
Compared to the Hindenburg?
A lot more.
Probably 10 times as many. 20 times as
Coincidentally
many.
enough.
What about 9/11?
Yeah, they're still building skyscrapers.
What is the actual argument you're trying to make?
Our argument is that your argument is stupid. It's illogical and stupid. That's our argument. Your
That's not
dots
an
don't
argument.
connect.
That's not an argument.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't even know the reason. Like, it looks like Lockheed Martin is dipping their feet in the water to see like how big of a market there really is for this. As for that, I don't really.
You would have thought they wouldn't go into manufacture until they've done their market research. So they've done that R&D, and
Okay, and we'll see it. We'll see what. Yeah, and we'll see what happens with it.
Why don't we have flying cars right now?
So basically, all three of you have just been winging it, saying, "No, this isn't
No,
happening."
we're responding to you making all of these arguments.
Yeah. So
How far are they going to go? They travel 80 miles per hour. It's not going to replace airplanes.
These blimps can travel 80 miles.
Nobody's saying it's going to replace aeroplanes, Hannah. Nobody's saying that. Yeah, it's a straw man. Nobody's saying that.
What are you saying?
It's a business opportunity, right?
Yes,
Nobody says it's
we're
going to.
agreeing with you. It's a business.
The argument earlier was that airships disappeared because of the Hindenburg. I came back and said that is. I said that is daft because of one accident. An entire industry doesn't just run away. Okay, they learn from it. They learn from it. They make improvements, and then they continue. That's how.
So what is your explanation?
That's how business works. That is how business works.
So
you
what's
don't
your
run away.
explanation? So what's your explanation then?
They didn't want the Germans to corner the
It's more
market with their
conspiracies.
machinery.
More conspiracies. That's the problem here. It's more
See how they get
conspiracies.
really quiet when you try and push them on it?
It's like you don't even know that Virgin Galactic actually had a crash, and they had to stop production and stop doing anything for 10 years until their safety record was sorted.
Yeah, that was 2014.
So they didn't stop, did they, though? Because they done this parabolic flight recently, didn't they?
Yeah, they did that last week. Yeah.
Yeah, so that didn't stop them. So
So
why would it
what's the
stop anyone
point?
else?
What's
So
the
you were
point?
saying that it stopped because of a crash, and
We're
that's the
saying-
commercial point, and we've just
We're
proven
saying- we're
that
saying-
the crash doesn't stop anything, and there is a commercial viability because Lockheed Martin and
Yeah,
Skunk
yeah.
Works are making them.
There wasn't in the 30s. We're saying that the reason
There was.
we're saying that the reason that people switched to airlines is because they're cheaper and more convenient. Plus, there was a very negative image from the Zeppelins
No,
and
there was
those
more to it than that. The powers that be didn't want the airship to corner the market.
No, I didn't say that.
You said back when I
No,
was a
that's
kid,
what
it was
I'm
well
saying.
expensive.
Completely trained the whole time. Plus,
said
you
when you
haven't
was a
put up,
kid, it
you
was
haven't put up a
expensive
viable
for the
alternative as
rich.
to why they stopped using it.
So according to citymonitor.com or .ai, which took a look at the market research at the time, it seemed to have been one of the big factors was, of course, the Hindenburg and how widespread the news on that was, because that one actually was on film and they had pictures of it exploding. And then came World War II, which really cut into luxury events like that due to taking resources away for the war efforts. And then also after World War II came the outbreak of recreational flights, which were much faster, cooler, more luxurious,
and so expensive most people couldn't afford them.
Yes, just like with luxury cruise lines, the airships they called them.
Yeah, the airships, yeah. It is important to remember that they were being offered the highest level of luxury, right? The highest. No aircraft could match that. No aircraft could. Sorry.
Commercial airlines just took the market away. That's all it was. Simple thing.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's kind of like the same. Like this era right now is getting back into more retro things, and that's why you're seeing the the record players coming back and Nixie tubes being used for decoration. Nixie tubes were completely obsolete back fucking 60 years ago, and they're making a comeback because they look cool.
Alan, $4.99. I'll follow you on your own channel, Brandon. Will you believe in yourself without ranty? Runty. Yeah, but Colin, what would be the point of shutting this channel down and saying, okay, now everybody go over to my channel and we'll have the same show on my channel. Go subscribe over there. Well, I don't understand what would be the point at this point. So he was going to shut the channel down. We were going to lose a channel on YouTube with 5,000 plus subs, which is hard to get these days, especially with Flat Earth, the fact that we're buried in the algorithm. It's almost impossible to build a channel. And we were going to lose the time slot. So who knows what would have taken over? Maybe Baller would have had a daily show at night. Or, I don't know. Who knows? So I stepped up and said, yep, I'll take it over. I'll keep the show going. Ranty hasn't been involved for a long time. I don't see any point. I don't know what point it would make to shut this channel down and move it over to my YouTube channel. I really don't. But anyway, I appreciate the super chats, man. I got no nefarious intent. I don't know where you got this impression. I got to be honest.
Up on them because they all crashed and burned. Every single
that
airship.
was sabotage. The Hindenburg
All the
was
airships
no
by all the countries crashed and burned.
Yes, but the
Rufus, they
Hindenburg
think there's
in
a
particular
conspiracy.
was not an accident. It was
Yes,
sabotage.
They think it's a conspiracy. Everything is a conspiracy.
They had they had a psychic, right, or a telepath that was able to bring in a huge air current to push the thing into a fucking tower and rupture it, and then it caught on fire or it exploded due to somebody smoking on board, right?
Or electric spark or whatever. The material didn't help as well, apparently.
No, the material's irrelevant. There's a conspiracy theory about that. It's utter rubbish. The point is, if you fill something
it's
full
not
of
utter
hydrogen,
rubbish.
if you
Sorry, you
fill
can't
something
finish
full
this
of an explosive gas, and you have a huge, dirty, great big object that's bent by the wind and subject to fatigue stresses, which they didn't understand at the time, ultimately something will go wrong and it will go
They
bang.
understood everything. The Germans
Jesus Christ, you
were
love
the
interrupting,
number
don't you?
one.
You're
They were
spouting
the
crap and you
best.
love interrupting.
They used them in the First World War. They were
Surprisingly,
successful in
smoking
the
was
war.
allowed on the Hindenburg.
Actually, the Zeppelin was used for like the first half of the war before they started figuring out how to use airplanes to target them and shoot them down.
Yeah.
Well said. There you go. There you go.
So they all crashed and burned.
And
as well.
again, hold on. And even in World War I, the Zeppelins were really subjected to changing airflow, like wind direction.
Yeah.
And so again, we're really hard to pilot, really hard to get to where you wanted them to go. We're really good for shocker value as a big distractor to drop a few bombs
They
down
used
on the
them.
trenches.
They also used them as mines, didn't they? They were hanging around, and other aircraft would go in and crash and blow up. Like little mine bombs, little airship bombs as well. Yeah.
Are you talking about barrage balloons?
Yes, we're talking about
You
that.
moron, they're not mines, you idiot.
No,
Barrage
they're not mines.
balloons were used in the
used the
Second
wrong
World War
terminology.
to protect
Shut up,
against
you idiot.
airplanes. Nothing
used-
you've said has made any sense. You're an utter moron.
No, you're a moron.
You're utter moron.
I know who
Every
you are.
single thing you said has been bollocks,
spanner in
without
the works.
fail.
Shut up, you-
You're addicted to being wrong.
I know who you are. You.
Oh, you know how? Oh dear. So that's why you're being
You're a
stupid, is
shit
it?
cunt. Shut up.
Yeah, you don't like me exposing you as an absolute moron. Yeah, I can understand. If I was as stupid as you were, I think I'd be quite
Come on,
annoyed as
Rumpus.
well.
All right, guys. As fun as it is to listen to you guys insult each other, I would like to understand what the fuck is this argument over? We've been arguing over.
I don't know.
Dirigibles. I don't understand where we're going with all this.
I don't know why they were trying to make a conspiracy as to why we don't see Zeppelins anymore.
I have heard this theory before that the Zeppelins were
It
used.
wasn't even about Zeppelins. It was about just having commercial balloon flights to high altitude. In fact, you can see that companies have proposed doing it over the years, and nobody's really carried through. So it really wasn't about Zeppelins. It was about
there has to be a
commercial balloon flights
demand.
to a high altitude.
There has to be a demand.
There's a demand for this edge of space flight, but it's taken how many years for them just to get up to 58 miles?
Well, it turns out that rocket science is rocket science.
And they did it back in 1959, Brenda.
The governments did.
Yeah, you couldn't buy a spot on it, though, could
So
you?
the
And they did
governments
that
hid-
because
did
of
they hide the
military.
technology
They did
between
that
then and
because-
now, or
they
what?
did that because they did that because of the Cold War.
Yeah,
They
back when
don't have that
NASA had 4
motivation
times-
now.
When NASA had 4 times the budget it does now.
I think it's more than. I think it's 10 times.
Yeah, I think
So
it
it
was.
took us that
actually.
it
used
took
to be-
private
it
industry
used to
that
be,
long to figure out how to fly a jet up to 60,000.
Yes, with
6,000,
the
60
correct
miles.
safety rating and efficiency, because we
Right.
were able
Does
to
that-
just because
You
because
can
back
you
from
can
the
tell yourself anything, can't you? I mean, you are so good at making up plausible sounding excuses
you're just
for why
confused.
things are happen in the coincidences.
and you're
that
just
we
and you're
notice.
really good at just denying like
No,
simple
but
facts.
you just make bullshit
You
up.
don't
It's
see
just
the
like you
logic,
open your
Brandon.
mouth and you're a fucking expert on everything.
I'm
Well,
not
we
an
know
expert
about
in
this.
any sense. I just know how to fucking read.
We know more about it than you do.
Who was going to pay for all this, Brandon, and who was going to buy the tickets?
There's demand.
Well,
How
yeah.
how many tickets has Branson sold? Hasn't he sold hundreds and hundreds of tickets?
600.
600
And then
tickets. So that
hundreds
sounds
of
like demand to me.
They
Hundreds
were
of
selling
thousands of
tickets-
dollars people have
They were
paid.
selling tickets like 10 years ago for Virgin Galactic.
Yes, and now they're selling for like 26 million. So
So there's probably always been demand, right?
yeah, people have always
no one could supply it.
Yeah, so there's
Right.
a difference between demand and quantity, like demanded, right? There's like the ability to achieve the demand, right? So everybody wants a Lamborghini.
Supply,
right?
supply.
Yeah.
You're not an
So,
economics
you know,
major, are you?
Yes, I am. So we know that there's a
I
we know
don't
that
really
there's a
want
we know that there's a are you do you understand that there's a difference between quantity demanded and demand?
Anyway, I don't even. I'm not going to respond to that question. But hey, Brenda,
know
I
that,
have a question
understand,
for
because
you.
I actually have a degree in economics and a degree in accounting. I'm actually a CPA, so I can educate you if you want.
No, thank you. No. If it's anything
That's
like
fine.
the other things you've
He
tried
doesn't
to
want
educate
that.
us on, I'll
You don't want
pass.
to do that.
Hey, Brenda. Brenda, I have a question for you. How did you lose $1,000 bet to Chris Berry? Can you tell us about it, please? Even though it wasn't a
Yeah, I
legitimate
don't.
bet.
I don't remember. It's not important.
But you did
I have
honestly
a-
lose a $1,000 bet, but it was an internet bet, so it doesn't count. Is that right?
Yeah, I apparently said something dumb, so I'll just admit I said something dumb. I was probably wrong. Okay, I'll just admit all of that. But none of that. It's just the internet. No, so
yeah,
who
you
cares?
gotta pay up. That's
Hey,
your
Brandon,
word
did-
is your
No, I don't.
Your word
Hey,
is your
did-
bond.
Did
No.
you
Integrity.
delete? Hey, did you delete files from Crow 777's Google Drive? Did you do that?
Goddamn right I did.
See what
Yeah,
I
she's
mean?
very
See
frank
what
and
I mean? See what you gotta
upfront
put out
about.
this
She thinks she did the right thing. Brenda,
Yes.
how can you think that is doing the right thing to delete someone else's research?
Because he is a fraudster. He stole money from the Patreon account and went on a trip around the world based on lies that were in that drive. Right? Because he lived near an airport. He photographed the wash from the jet engines and convinced people that wash was glitches in the matrix. And then he made thousands of dollars, and then he took off. He bought a $20,000 telescope and went on a trip around the world.
I heard this theory. Do you have evidence to back this up? I think I've asked you for this before, and you just
The
said
images
you figured it out.
themselves show that the backwash from the engines of the planes that would, because he lived right close to an airport, right? And so the planes would travel over him, and then he would photograph the wash. After the plane is gone,
I know
there's
this is your
still a
theory.
wash,
You don't need to
and
repeat
then
the theory
he
again.
sold that. He sold that to morons on the internet, right, and scammed them out of money.
I think you just said that whole thing, probably word for word, just before that. So I asked you for evidence to back up your claim. I asked if you
I
had
don't have
evidence
to,
to
and
back
I
up
don't
what you're
care.
saying.
Yeah, I don't care. Other people
clearly a mad
debunked him a
voice
long
there.
time ago. Other people debunked him a long time ago. That's what he did.
What if you're
He's-
mistaken
About
Mistaken
what?
about him?
About what?
About him being a liar?
You think that there's glitches in the matrix? You think there's glitches in the matrix?
Maybe in his belief? Who
I
are you to
didn't say it.
decide his belief?
You can infer that based
No,
on
who are you?
the
Who are you?
lies that he tells.
Who are
I
you?
can use critical reasoning to.
But who are
to come
you
with-
to decide that you should delete his documents
he
because
put-
you
He's a
believe their lies?
He put the folder. He published the link himself.
So
and
who
he
are
published it.
you?
He
Who are
published
you?
it in
are
a
you?
chat. He published it.
We got to delete
Yeah,
your
we know who
research,
he is.
Brenda.
We know who he is.
Can I,
Who are
actually,
you?
can I actually ask a question about this type of situation, just as a thought experiment, to try and figure out what you guys think about this? If somebody who was I guess they're just rich, or they're well off, they're wealthy. They had a building constructed that was free for the public to use. Okay, the public has access to it, and they can spend time there or whatever.
Yeah.
Does somebody providing that building for open use of the public give them the right to then burn it down instead of allowing others to use that building?
Yes, it's their property.
Nobody burned down anything.
So just to be
If
clear,
you-
your answer is if somebody makes a building available to the public for use,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying that's the same as granting the public the right to burn it down.
Nobody's
at will.
burning it down.
I thought you meant he burnt it down. No,
No, I don't mean him. No, I mean the public.
no.
He's saying,
I have
here, you
your
can use
answer.
this, and then somebody
Joel.
decides they don't like the building or the way it looks or whatever, and so they decide to burn it. Is that person in the right, or are they in the wrong?
So this is what happened. Google provided the building, right? Crow 77 had a free room, and he left the door open and invited people to go in.
Right.
Are you under the impression that people then had the right to destroy everything in the room then? Is that your argument?
Because he was a fraudster. So
criminal.
yes.
You're basically saying he's a
On what
criminal.
evidence? On what
He
evidence?
defrauded his Patreon members by
why didn't you report
posting
it to police?
false images, lies.
Why didn't you report it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't care.
You do
So you're
Okay,
an
well,
accomplice now.
it's not
You're
for
an
you to
accomplice
judge.
now.
It's
We
not for you.
can get back to that real quick. I just want to clarify. In my opinion, I want to say this. In my opinion, if somebody spends money to provide something to other people, and that person just says you can use these things freely. In my opinion, somebody coming along and destroying those things is not the same as them
He didn't
using them.
pay anything.
They
You
didn't
don't
have the
pay
right
anything.
to destroy those things, and they've
Shut up, will
actually
you?
done something wrong, like morally
he didn't
wrong.
pay anything for it.
The
You
others who had a
don't
right
pay
to
money. You don't
being
pay
able
money.
to
It's a
use it.
free service. So he didn't pay for it.
So would you not consider his
into
labor?
he put time into the his labor.
The point is, she's saying he's a criminal. Brenda's saying that he was a criminal, and we take. Hold on, in the real world, if you see someone doing something criminal, like stabbing someone or stealing some money or a robber,
Would you destroy the
hold
evidence,
on, let
Rumpus?
me finish my bloody sentence.
So you destroy the
Be
evidence.
quiet. You are entitled to act as a citizen's arrest or something to intervene in some situation where you believe there's some wrong being doing and take some personal action.
And
That is
delete the
analogy.
evidence.
So we gotta arrest
Nearly there.
Brenda.
Nearly there. And
We
so
gotta arrest Brenda for
Brenda has
fraud.
done something similar, except on the internet, where she's intervened in a criminal act.
No,
and
he
she
didn't do
believes she-
something similar. And I can
Well, she
explain
did-
to you
well,
why.
she's-
I can explain to you why.
Stop people
I can
being
explain to you
scammed.
why he
That
didn't
is-
do something
that is to
similar.
prevent a
Here, let me
criminal
explain
act.
to you why.
That is to
okay?
prevent a
What,
criminal
the example
act.
that you just used,
to prevent
the
a criminal
analogy,
act. Why don't
the
you let me finish
analogy
my
that you
sentence,
just
and then you
used,
can have your go. So she
in
was
your
trying,
analogy, you said
in
a
her
criminal
view,
act,
she was trying
which
to
has
prevent
been
a
proven
criminal
in this
act.
case.
In
It
her
has only
view,
been
she was
asserted.
trying to prevent
They've
a
only been
criminal
accused.
act.
They have not
In
been found
her
guilty.
view, she was trying
That's
to
why
prevent
your
a
analogy
criminal act.
doesn't work.
In
Guys,
her
guys,
view,
guys,
she
guys,
was
can't
trying to
hear.
prevent
Rumpus,
this
stop
wanker
saying the
keeps on
same thing
trying
over
to
and over.
bloody overtalk me. I only wanted to make 5 more words, and this wanker insisted on trying to overtalk me. Right, go ahead.
Okay, your analogy is incorrect. In your analogy, you said committing a crime. No crime has been proven in the situation. Therefore, your analogy is terrible.
No, it's not, because to prove a crime, it has to go before a court. You can see a crime,
That's right.
you can,
And what you
evaluate
said-
a crime in the
and
real
what you
world.
said in your
what you
analogy
perceive to
is
be a
if you
crime,
see a
what
crime.
you
Nobody
perceive
saw
to
a
be a
crime in this
crime
case.
in
They
the
saw
real
something they
world,
thought
and
might be a
you can
crime.
take actions to do something about it there and then. Whether it's then proved a crime in court is then a subsequent.
So Rumpus,
issue.
I think NASA is committing
You are
fraud,
a
and I
moron.
think
Yeah, but
NASA's
that
committing
option wasn't
fraud,
taken,
and
was
that they're committing crimes against the United States taxpayer. So if I got access to their website somehow, I would be within my right to delete all their files and shit.
Well, then because you'd be wrong. But in Brenda's case, it seems
Oh,
like
I'd be
this
wrong,
guy
but
wasn't.
I think I'm right, Rumpus.
Oh yeah, but that's what criminals do. But that's how we evaluate. We do have
I'd be a
citizen
criminal.
actions. We do have citizens' actions in the real world where you do take, assault someone to stop them doing something, and then in a court, it's established whether or not you did the right thing. So you have to make a judgment whether you're going to get caught out and whether you did do the
Rumpus.
right thing. Now, in
She did the
Brenda's
wrong
case, she
thing.
feels a criminal act was being taken place, and she decided to do something about it.
I feel
Rumpus.
she committed a crime.
Rumpus, can I ask a question?
Citizens arrest him.
Question to Rumpus. Okay, if I'm a murderer, you've just witnessed me doing a crime. I've just stabbed someone. I've chucked the knife down on the floor. For you to then ditch the and get rid of it, the evidence, the information, the information that would have convicted him as a criminal, is that correct?
Well,
Not even the same thing.
Yeah, it's not the same thing because
It is.
Brenda,
That's hiding
hold
evidence.
On, Brenda,
She's deleted
I
evidence.
know it's evidence, but she could have reserved or something. But the point was, she was presumably trying to stop that being used for future crimes. So if you confiscated the knife off this person,
But how do we now know that it wasn't
let
a crime?
me finish my sentence.
You're saying
if you
that
confiscated
Brenda
the
attempted
knife,
to stop
then
future
yes,
crime?
that would be correct
Huh.
because you're stopping them reusing the knife for some future crime. Jesus.
That is a criminal act in itself, destroying the material that's not yours. That
I
is a
think you guys
criminal
need to
act in
take
itself.
like a course in ethics. I think a lot of maybe you're
Yes, seems to
thinking
be some
about
confusion.
things is because you.
I don't know if a
you
course in
fucked up in
ethics
the
would
head.
actually help
Course in
them.
law.
That might have been what taught them that this is actually somehow reasonable or good.
Business law wise, this would actually be seen as was it a data fraud? Going in there and
There
just
was no
deleting all.
fraud. It was just Brenda making shit up.
No, computer fraud. I'm sorry, not in the case with the guy scamming people, but in the case of going in there and using
If she
access.
took it to
granted to you.
court, they'd
Hold on,
kick
I'm
her
tr-
out.
I'm
Hold on,
trying
let him
to-
finish.
I am saying that the case of going in there and deleting these persons' files maliciously would be a case of was a computer fraud and abuse act, right? I had to actually go back in there
thank you.
and so this
an
would be
actual
this would be a
crime.
matter that you would actually have to report to the authorities.
Yes.
I know a lot of they call themselves gray hat hackers, right? They go in there and they do it against the law, but they go in there to like those Indian scam call centers and shut them down, delete all their files.
Those guys. Yeah.
That's
a criminal act.
I understand that is a criminal act. Also, what you did is a criminal act. Do
That's
I think you're a bad person for doing it? That's kind of where it's a gray area.
What Brenda did wasn't criminal. It wasn't criminal. You could call it unethical. You can call it immoral. I would say that she was in the wrong for doing it. So it's not a criminal act because it was free public access with free public editing.
You're exactly right. The
So-
terms and
so-
conditions in Google Drive would have said no.
So if I could address this for a minute, I agree it was probably immoral. I probably wouldn't do it again. So you need to not interrupt me when I'm just addressing this issue that is blown up here.
Just admit
This guy who insists on interrupting.
Well, guys, come on. We've been attacking her for 5 minutes. Let's let her say something.
So I'm going to say it was wrong for me to do it. I probably wouldn't do it again, right? But the fact is that he invited people to come in there. He posted an open link to an unregulated drive in
Obviously, he wasn't committing a crime. That's why he did
excuse me. He posted an open link that had delete permissions on it, right? I couldn't have deleted them unless I had permission.
Do you think criminals do that? Is that a
Technically,
sign of a criminal?
technically,
Are you sorry for doing it, Brenda?
Technically, he gave me permission. So yes, I regret.
Technically, you are a scumbag. Let me say this. You are a human piece of shit, Brenda. You are a scumbag.
Guys, let's not get. We all know.
You
that
are
this-
a piece of shit, Brenda.
So you can moralize.
did
So
something
the
you don't
point is-
regret it.
He's not even shit.
So the
You
point
are a
is-
human piece of
Yeah,
garbage.
Let's move on, guys.
And
Let's
your
move on.
buddies-
We've
and your
berated her
buddies
like 100
Rumpus
times
are
about
sticking
this.
up for you.
Yeah, so I
on.
will say
You
here-
are a piece of garbage, Brenda.
So they're moralizing.
Human
They're
trash.
Talk about the video, Brandon.
They're
The
just
video.
moralizing. So I agree that what I did was unethical and wrong.
Are you
Just
sorry
shut
for
your
it, you piece of
fucking
shit?
mouth.
Are you sorry?
You morons cannot.
All right, hey,
cannot-
Are
we're
you
gonna move
sorry,
on.
you piece of shit?
We're
Can
gonna
you?
move
Just
on. We're gonna move on.
It's this Jin guy is the problem. It's this Jin
Jin,
guy insists
Jin.
on.
I want to hear
Jin.
you apologize,
Jin,
Brenda.
we're moving
you
on.
piece of
Essie,
shit.
we're
Shut
moving on.
your fucking mouth
We're
if you
moving
want to
on.
hear
Send him
anything.
down to the dungeons, you
Can't we
toxic
mute this
garbage.
guy? He's completely disrupting everything. I mean,
All right.
Brandon, you did bring this up. I mean, you're complaining about, but you did.
I
You
know,
decided
but
to change.
but it got out of hand pretty
So-
quickly.
So the
Yeah, but
point
why
is-
did you? I mean, the fact you
Oh,
redirected your
shut
whole
up,
hangout
Rumpus.
to
Jesus
Brenda.
Anyway,
Christ,
look at
I'm
the
trying
video.
to
Look
move
at the
on.
video. Everyone watch the video. Eyes on the video. All
If
eyes on the video.
somebody,
What do you guys think about this video? Did you see this yet?
Now,
On
maybe
the ISS, I'm
Oh,
sharing
what
my
video?
screen
What
now.
video? What video? This is
I'm
fun,
sharing my
man.
screen. This is from Taboo
Ladies and
Conspiracy. I think a couple other people's have posted it, but it's just an ISS
What about it?
thing.
Okay, let's have a look. Total enjoyment today.
All right, hold on.
Bundles
Number
of
one, they
laughter.
drop the inflatable ball.
Ready?
Or
Here he
it
goes.
gets
He's got the
pushed
ball in his
towards the
hand.
floor.
Focus
Will be
here.
The ballers.
Boom. Ball falls. Right.
Ball actually kind of looks like it gets squeezed in between his abdomen and his arm, and he gets
See how
pushed
quick
downward.
he is to come up with a plausible excuse for what he sees?
We can see him pushing it.
Oh, he doesn't even want to see it again. He already knows what happened.
It's almost like you can take a look at that ball and notice it's getting squeezed just by how it's bulging out.
I know.
Yeah.
It's almost,
it's
almost as if
I mean,
Newton's law doesn't apply and it doesn't bounce up with the equal and opposite reaction.
It's
Well,
still
it's
going
look,
down
see,
when
he's
he goes
holding
to
it between his leg. He's pushing it down onto his leg, and then it slips off his leg here. So he's clearly using applying pressure. And it slipped off his trousers. And what happens? It goes down. Honestly, you guys.
And should bounce on the
if
floor
you
and
think
come back
that
up.
is
and
any
it
evidence
doesn't.
at all, I mean, you're worse than I thought you. Jeez.
Shut up. Get off your soapbox.
That is only the first bit to it, Rumpus. Shut up.
Right. Well, okay. Well, oh, shut up! You don't like the fact that a bit of reality is injected into this.
let's watch it again. Hey, Rumpus, have you learned about the mirrors yet? Are you willing to admit you're wrong?
Have you learned about the mirrors yet? As I
Is
told
this-
you, when you asked me that
I've
first
seen-
question, they are hanging, but they're not freely. They're not freely suspended, but they are held in place by actuators to angle them. You moron!
So are they pendulums?
Hold on.
I told you when you first asked me, you said, how are they suspended? I said, they're like pendulums, but they're
No,
not
you didn't.
freely.
No, you
then
didn't.
I
You
did,
said
and
they
I
were
said,
not
they're not
astronauts
free.
like pendulums.
I said they are hanging like
Brandon.
pendulums, but they're not What are you- free to go what in are the you place guys they want. talking And about? you've never understood that.
I don't know.
Brandon,
What are you
I'll
guys
explain
talking
you.
about?
I'll explain you, Brandon. A couple of weeks ago, I asked him if the LIGO mirrors are pendulums, and he laughed at me. And he said, no, just like he's doing now, acting
Oh
smart.
my God, you've
Now,
misremembered.
I
I
wanna-
said
why are
they're
you-
sus-
why are you
I was the
interrupting
one
me,
who said
Rumpus?
they were like pendulums.
Why
I
are
said
you
they were
interrupting me, Rumpus?
because you
Are you afraid?
You're lying. I don't want to call you a liar. You're probably not. You're just confused.
Oh my
You
God.
asked me
Rumpus, you're
what's
doing
going on.
the
I
same
said
as
they
what
were
you tell
I'll give you
suspended,
an
and
opportunity now,
I said
because
they were
everybody heard
suspended
you.
like
Fine.
pendulums. But I said
So
they
you're
were not
admitting now that
free.
they are
They were
pendulums?
not free. And if you go back and get the issue of Brandon, you will see these are the words, phrases I used, very similar. I said they were hanging like pendulums, but they were not free to swing where they wanted to.
What a liar you are.
You
You
might
are
go,
such
go
a
and get it.
liar.
Go on, Montreal. Go and get the hangout, and you will find that I'm correct.
I'm sure everybody here
You're just
remembers
crap.
it.
You're a moron.
Anyway,
You've got
Rumpus.
the memory of a
Rumpus,
goldfish.
look at
Am
the
I
video.
right, guys? Am I
Tell
right?
me why Silverhair can't bend down and get the ball.
Do what? Oh, try and go again. I'm trying to play it. So yeah,
Silverhair.
it gets squeezed it out. Right?
Yeah,
He bends down.
and he goes to pick it up. Oh, he can't. He's held back from something. I don't know why.
His harness is
And
too
then she
tight.
took-
Oh
she-
shit! I can't reach my harness. is
quick!
restricting me.
Pull back! How does he get pulled back from the
Well,
top?
presumably, I may have wanted to stop him bouncing up into people's faces. He would have held it down. Who knows? My God, is this? You cannot be this stupid.
Rumpus, you're useless, bro. Give it up. You are a fucking
Look at
moron.
the girl in the middle, panicking.
You're too
going,
stupid.
"Nobody move,
You're not
nobody move."
qualified to talk to me, Montreal. You can't even remember what you asked me some time ago and my
Qualified to
answer.
You don't even know
What
what a
is this,
pendulum
Rumpus?
is, you
You're an
moron.
utter moron. You don't even remember me using the phrase.
These
I
people
was the
think
one
they're
who-
smart,
I
but I
was
know
the
how
one
fucking
who
stupid
phrased
you are.
pendulum. I
Is
said
this
they were hanging like
really-
pendulums, but I said they were not freely
Is
able to
this-
swing.
Holy
And you don't
shit.
remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
You're a moron. Guys,
Is this really all the? Is this really all like the flat Earth has to like grasp onto
Yeah, no,
now?
it's
Is the guy
incredible, isn't
squeezing
it?
a ball like between his
Oh,
abdomen and his
shut
arm, and it
No,
gets
there's
shot
hundreds
out?
of these.
just
There's
for
dozens
fun.
of these.
Well, we're here to laugh at
many.
you guys.
Is this all we have to hang on to?
I mean,
is
it
mistakes
takes like
that are
2
made?
seconds.
I mean,
and anybody that's played with these things know like what happens when you squeeze it in between you.
Oh, you've
and,
been
like,
on the
your arm.
ISS and
No, but
in
I have
free fall.
played with
Yeah,
those
yeah,
things,
of
and I
course.
know what happens when you squeeze a fucking ball full of air.
Yeah,
It's
it
not hard to
bounces
figure
back
out.
I'm pretty sure they usually bounce whenever they hit
pressing
the
it
floor,
down.
don't
I mean,
they?
unbelievable. You'd even offer this as a video.
Unbelievable.
5-year-old could dismiss
A guy that
it.
doesn't know
Why is
what
it
a
not
pendulum
floating?
is thinks he can talk about
Because he
space.
pushed it down.
Unbelievable. You moron.
Seems a bit strange if
you
he
can
uses
see he's
enough
applying a
force
pressure
to
tip
push
between
it
him and
down
his
like
leg.
that.
Too many
people talking.
Steps off his
Bounce
leg
and
and
come
carries
back
on
up
going.
in 0 G.
That's not Rumpus. Look at his
Guys,
energy fall.
guys, slow down.
Maybe not.
Unbelievable.
You haven't watched
Yeah.
it close enough, Rumpus. Watch his hands.
You were just. I mean, Gleam, I didn't think you were this stupid. I know
Watch
you're
his
stupid
hands.
and you get
Watch
everything wrong, but
his
that's
hands.
special. That is a special one. Let's watch his hands. Let's watch his hands. Yeah, he's pushing it down. Yes, he's pushing it. He's holding it in place.
No,
by
the
pushing
other
it down.
guy, the guy with the grey hair.
Oh, because he bent. I don't believe this. So some guy bends down, and that's some proof of something. Oh my God.
Rumpus, what happens to the ball, right, when it hits the floor?
We don't
looks
know.
like
It might have hit a cable. Good knows. No, good. We don't know what it hit. You're just extrapolating from no information.
Rumpus,
Because you
they're
want to
in
imagine.
space.
It might have hit a
They're in
cable.
space, mate.
You avoid the
Look at all the
concrete
cables there.
examples, and you're
They're in
left. You're
space.
resorting to imagining what's going on.
Did it get
as some piece of evidence.
trapped under something, yeah?
We've
Trapped
no
under
idea.
a little
It
goalie.
coulda-
We've no
it coulda-
idea.
It was a space
Gleam.
cable.
It
You're
could have
resorting
literally.
to have to imagining what's happening now
I mean,
instead of
you could
actually
just-
dealing with evidence. It's
You
incredible.
could just take a look at all the bullshit around the ISS they
Unbelievable.
got in there. It could have bounced off of any of those and just fucking
Exactly.
shot out to the side or forward, out of the view of the camera. Like, holy shit!
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
like, do y'all have
Or
to
it
like
could've
grasp onto this
fallen
straws?
You're
to try and-
grasping onto straws
or,
here.
you know,
Watch
No, I'm
where
just
their
giving
eyes
you
are going.
gravity because they're not actually.
He's still
Yeah.
looking at it. He
Could have
didn't
also
touch
been
it.
that.
How come the guy in the far left can't bend down to pick it up? Look, he
Maybe
goes to
not.
bend down. He gets yanked back. It's harness.
You've no idea what happened. I can't believe
fantasy
you
is
now
shattering
no
around
idea.
you
That's
by
why
the
you're
day,
resort
Rumpus.
to
chucking out loads of
imagining what's
shit.
happening now as evidence instead of actually dealing with any evidence. You've given up on real evidence.
Explain
Dowdy.
what's happening. You explain what's happening then, Rumpus.
The ball went down. I've no idea what happened to it. It could have hit anything and bounced off in any direction. We've no
It
idea.
didn't. He's looking at it now.
The guy's clearly looking at it, but for some reason, who knows? I mean, if you try and go into this micro analysis of people's actions and what things happen, I mean, I could take a picture of you. I could take a picture of you at a party and say, "Why did Gleam look over that direction?" Oh, I wonder if that's a bit ominous.
This is nonsense.
This
Why are you even
ridiculous
entertaining this idiot?
It's ridiculous.
Why are you even
Now you have
entertaining
to make
nonsense?
stuff up. You're now extrapolating things we
Nonsense, then.
can't see as evidence because
Pure
you can't
nonsense,
provide.
Gleam.
We'll let these guys duke it out over this for a minute. It's always fun to get Rumpus going on one of these. Colin, thank you very much. $4.99. It would take just your voice. And another $4.99. Brandon, personally, I would follow. Don't know about the rest. Move where you feel comfortable. Well, I tell you, Colin, this is our channel now. We don't. Ranty's gone, man. This is. I own the channel. I own the channel. There's no involvement from him. And you say, I would follow you if you reject the runty. He's gone already, man. But he's acting shameless. I agree. I agree 100%. Operate under a new disposition. Maybe. We'll see. I'm happy here. But we'll see. You never know what can happen. I appreciate your thoughts, though, Colin. And thank you for the super chats as well.
Idea. You've no basis in fact.
Unicorn Laser Eyes. I did not forget your super chats. I'm waiting for the right moment. And same with you, Ray. Rune.
Go,
A
Mosh, you're
string
back.
and a rope. You're an embarrassment,
out,
Rumpus.
and you
You're
will
an
see that
embarrassment.
I am absolutely correct in what I said, and then you will feel embarrassed. Well, if you've got any decency.
You know what?
Rumpus,
I will tell you.
You are a
something.
liar, Rumpus.
No, I
This
need to,
video,
I
you
need
guys
to
maybe
finish off the
one
line
of
of
you go
questioning.
find the clip. One of you guys go find the clip. But this one's not as clear cut as when they dropped the screw in the bathroom. You could debate this one either way, but let me read these couple super chats. Yeah, they did. Anyway, using Unicorn Laser Eyes, $2. Will Brenda be targeting Reds and Hufford next? Since you're targeting supposed fraudsters, I think is his Unicorn Laser Eyes point.
Yeah, they definitely committed some serious infractions there. Fraud.
Just like you
Real
did
fraud.
when you deleted the drive, Brenda?
For sure.
It's not
Yeah,
fraud.
like you scanned someone out of $1,000 from an agreement.
Like a
Sounds like-
scumbag you are? Yeah. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
about right.
Pay 'em up. Pay it up.
Rune Thornton, DKK 20. What is DKK? I don't even know. Cake. Brenda conceding. GZ. What's that mean?
I think in Brenda's position, I may have done the same thing. I think if I saw someone was using evidence to defraud people,
read
I
that,
think
read
someone
that
would
last
be
part
trying to do
again.
the same
What
thing.
did it say?
So I'll just put out this again.
Judge and jury,
What I did was unethical and wrong, and I regret it.
Brandon, can you read that last part again?
How about an apology
I
to
can't see
the
anything.
guy you
Brenda
did it to, Brenda?
conceding. GZ.
You want a written public
How about make her
apology.
apologize,
Are you
Brenda?
saying
Ask
D
her if
as
she
in
will
dog or
apologize.
T as in toy?
He doesn't know anyone here an apology.
Yes, he does.
Yes, she does. The guy that she deleted his whole life's
Brandon,
work
The fraudster.
like a scumbag.
His
The
life's
fraudster.
work
And the
of
guy he
committing
scammed on the
fraud.
bet.
The
Troy
fraudster.
Brandon's
We should be
work of
defending a
committing
fraudster, should we?
So just apologize, Brenda, and show us you're a
So
human
let's
being.
move
Go
on.
ahead.
Let-
Have an opportunity.
Yeah, see,
let's hear it.
let's do this some
Brenda's
more
been
time.
very
We've
humble in
covered
this,
it
it
enough.
seems to me.
What
She's
is the
been
letter before the
No,
Z?
not
quite
at all.
contrite. What more do you want us to do?
I
Jesus
said
Christ.
I said what I did was unethical, and I regret doing it. What else do you want?
But you didn't apologize.
Turn
You did
yourself
not
in.
apologize.
I'm not going
Pay
to
your debt.
apologize to
He
you.
doesn't have to
Essie.
apologize.
All right,
I
Get
don't
yourself
have
the
to
authority.
apologize to you, Essie.
Got it. Let's move on.
Please.
The drop screw was the most blatant
No, it
fakery
wasn't.
of NASA
Wasn't
that
Yeah,
I've ever
they
seen.
got busted on that one.
Yeah, you didn't
Let's
understand
see
what's
it.
going on.
That was a
Where's it
big
at?
continuity gap.
Yeah,
It's
They
perfectly
fucked that
explainable.
right
They
up.
were
No,
obviously
no, not
upside down
explainable
and
at all.
gravity's going to
Absolutely,
Earth.
easily explainable.
No, not at all.
Yes, yes, yes.
No.
Well, I
Yes,
mean,
yes, yes.
everything's
No.
technically explainable, right? It's just whether or not
Yeah,
the
I can
explanation is
explain why a
accurate or
unicorn
reasonable or
comes out of my
logical.
ass.
The explanation was consistent with them being in space and
No,
being zero
no,
gravity.
no, no.
Yes, yes, yes.
No.
Yes, yes, yes.
No.
I mean, I could
Yes, 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 yes.
explain
No.
the sun
yes, yes,
seeming
yes,
like
yes,
it
yes,
goes
yes,
up and coming down as like our Earth spinning or something, but I mean that would obviously be retarded, so we wouldn't do that, right?
I didn't hear that part.
Anything
Say
can be
again.
explained.
Sorry, could you
I
say
love
again?
when Bob Dole doubles down on this and ignores evidence. I fucking love it. Every day he does it.
Hey, ballers.
Yeah, he is
I
seriously
got a
stupid.
question for you guys. Where do you guys come down on the Chinese space agency, the CNSA?
Maybe not.
Yeah, you can't believe that bullshit's real.
Do you guys do you guys believe
what
the stuff
aspect
that
of
they're
it?
putting out? Did you see this latest one where
Well,
they
I think that
Maybe
I
not.
think that I
Their
think it's
lander?
real. I think it's real. I think that they're making an effort. I think that their probes and stuff are real, and I have no reason to disbelieve anything that they've done is not true.
What about
Yeah,
their
'cause
water bubbles
if they were doing it falsely, they would be caught out and they would be nationally humiliated. If
Yeah,
we, were
we
able to
are.
show
We're calling
that
them out right
we would
now.
be, for instance, if we would show that the signals were not coming from Mars, because obviously anybody can pick up the signals they're sending from Mars, whatever. And the fact that we were able to say, hold on, we can't see any signals coming from this rover or whatever you've got on Mars. You're telling fibs. And if you were not, presenting pictures that were not consistent with Mars, we say there's something fishy going on here, and they would be humiliated. So they've got to give you.
Yeah, we are.
Something
We
that's-
humiliated
something that's
them.
correct.
They are being humiliated, mate, because you can't
Exactly.
go
No, they're
to
not.
Mars. Stop
No, they're
being
not.
a moron. Can't go
No, they're
Why
not.
are
They're
you
not being
already
humiliated.
defending like making excuses for the fucking Chinese communist government? I don't understand. What is
their
it in
politics-
you guys that you always default on the
So-
side of?
So Brandon,
authority?
I argue against Marxists and communists on political discords.
Good
So I
for
have
you.
no love for the Chinese government itself, but for as far as their scientific exploration, I have no reason to disbelieve it.
There's plenty of reasons.
Fucking
What about
fakery at the worst kind.
No
all
reason
the
at all to disbelieve
industrial and economic fraud on a large scale? Why would they not
evidence?
fraud in
Please,
other areas?
evidence. Where's the evidence?
There is one of the
Open your eyes.
stupidest sentences I've ever read in my entire life within this article, and I think it wasn't Zero Hedge that wrote it. I think it was contained within here. Anyway, I'll give you guys the link. That's not important, I suppose. But it says the U.S. and China have taken an interest in Mars because it's packed with rare metals, including lithium, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, niobium, molybdenum, lanthanum, europium, tungsten, and gold. Essential minerals that will hopefully
would
one
they
day
fucking
power
know
the
that?
green
How would
economy
they
of
know
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a load
How
of
the
shit.
what the fuck are they talking about? What kind of shit are they smoking?
Who's this? You shall not. Yeah. So who's making that claim?
Oh, let me see
Chinese.
here.
How did NASA
Or is
mine
this Tyler
this stuff?
Durden guy?
How did they know it's there?
I mean,
Oh, it is actually in the article. Yeah, it is actually in their article. It is this
Tyler Durden.
Zero Hedge, actually.
So it's this Tyler Durden guy. So
Yeah,
this
that's
Tyler
just the
Durden-
editor. This
Right, so-
reads like straight space propaganda, this article, which I was a little surprised of to find that Zero Hedge, which, you always got to be skeptical of your sources.
If you think it's
But this
propaganda,
right
have you
here
researched it
is-
further?
This is insane, this sentence.
Have you
Do you guys think that they're going to
bullshit.
mine these rare earth
Have you-
minerals
have you
on
done any more
Mars and
research
bring
than
them
that?
back here to power the green economy?
Yeah, that sounds really economically viable.
Right, it might be ridiculous. Have you
They're
done any
delusional.
research past that?
Sorry, Baidu.
Why would you waste
why
your
don't they just
time
go and
researching
find
every
the,
ridiculous thing that you
can't
hear?
get to Mars. I noticed that.
Why don't they just fly over to Jupiter in the atmosphere and collect some diamonds? Why don't they do
dude,
that?
Go to the,
Yeah.
we go to the center of the
It's raining
sun.
diamonds sideways.
Yeah, just
It'd be
scoop
easy
them
to
up.
catch.
Hey, I want to go inside a black hole. I'm gonna go in
The
through a
Jupiter
wormhole.
diamond scooper. There you go. You can get funding for that.
You're just demonstrating you're an
What a
idiot,
load
Montreal,
of
I'm afraid. That's
shit.
all you're doing here. You're just advertising.
Because we can make
how absurd you are.
we can make diamonds here on Earth, my friend.
So you believe
You
it
can
rains
get cobalt,
diamonds on
nickel, and
Jupiter, my
copper
friend?
here.
Do you believe that?
I could be,
mine
could be true,
lithium
but
here
I know
on
what you
Earth.
can't do is just go along and scoop them. That would be incredibly difficult. I know that's what you can't do, but there's still much.
So you believe
not?
that it rains diamonds on Jupiter?
You don't believe in
I don't think
NASA?
it rains diamonds. I don't think they've ever claimed it rains. I think you're thinking of somewhere else. I think
Another
they think there's a
planet.
diamond core in Jupiter. I think it's a suggestion.
No,
It's
it
only a
rains
suggestion.
diamonds.
No. Once again, you don't know your own fantasy model. There is a planet where it rains
Yeah, we're
diamonds.
talking about Jupiter.
Yes.
Yeah, that's another
Yeah.
planet. We're talking about
It's
Jupiter, weren't
Uranus.
we?
Uranus. Yeah, and they say
Really
Uranus smells like farts.
like
Like
a
you don't
pretty-
see how dumb.
Yeah,
this
you guys
shit
are
is.
in
Dirty
fantasy
face.
la la land.
You
I
were
just want to
talking
point that out.
about Jupiter,
It's
not some
Saturn
other
and
planet.
Jupiter. Saturn and Jupiter both are.
Yes, I
how would
believe
we
there's
talk about-
two. Yeah.
How would that even happen? Are the diamonds like hitting and then melting and then somehow evaporating back up to the sky to be rained down again?
No, so
how-
it is
what would that process
hold
be?
on.
Tell us.
Hold on, it is chemically produced means.
You see, they're gonna make excuses for this.
God.
Watch. I
Right
can't
off the
wait.
It's like
Go ahead.
explaining how the
Reel it
dwarves
in.
mine
Reel-
mithril and the mines of
Maybe
Moria.
not.
You can make.
But let's
up
reel
any
it in.
shit.
Reel it
Maybe
in.
not.
The original.
Yeah, reel it
comment-
in. Let's laugh. Tell us how it works.
Maybe
How
not.
do diamonds happen on
No,
this
they-
planet?
See, no, the original article was about minerals and stuff on Mars, and
Oh,
somehow we went to
bullshit.
Jupiter. But
Yeah.
but just
Oh,
think
so you realize how stupid it is, Jupiter, so you want to change the subject. I understand.
No,
I get it.
we changed
as
the
I said,
subject
the
to
core-
diamonds.
This
I
could
agree with
only be
Left
happening
Lane.
at the core.
Let's
It does
go back to this.
Cannot happen in the upper atmosphere.
Oh,
They're only suggesting
bullshit.
it could happen in the core, where I said there was a potential
Bullshit.
diamond core, but not.
Once
in the
again,
higher
you're
atmosphere.
incorrect. Remember this, people. When I come back next week and prove him wrong,
Correct.
remember this.
So anyway,
core
on
only.
Mars,
You
is
remember
this what you
I mentioned the
Biodual?
core
I think
only.
you were going to
Remember
answer
that,
the question.
Montreal?
Is this what you guys think is going to happen on Mars? That we're going to get, we're going to go there for rare earth minerals and bring them back home to.
I'll
know.
I'll put it as a blanket statement in this way. I would be surprised if we don't get minerals from every fucking planet that we potentially land on. Now, as far as that statement there being ridiculous or crazy, have you done any research outside of that one statement from that article, or no?
No, of course they
What kind of
haven't.
research do I need to do to know that this
So-
sentence isn't batshit crazy?
So
I had paper.
Hold on. I had no idea about any of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on Google and see what he means by that. I'm going to see what NASA claims and how they claim it, and then I'll come back. That's what I'm going to do. I don't know
What
what
do you
you're
think we're
going
going to
to
get out of
while you're
Mars? I
doing
mean,
that,
what
Rakia
is
posted
if it's not
something.
rare earth minerals? What do you think we're going to get out of all this shit on Mars? What's the point?
We can't even go. We're
Resources.
not on Mars, you know?
Just
Second law of
resources.
thermodynamics.
What do you mean?
It's
What's
the
the
same-
point?
the same
If we
reason
could
why
get
we're
hold
doing
of those things, that would be
yeah.
very
Yeah.
good. But it's obviously not viable at the moment, or even 100 years. But potentially, let's suppose we somehow are able to use, I don't know, the power, sun power or something, solar power on Mars to launch rockets in this direction. Conceivably, perhaps in 100, 200 years, there might be something. But certainly,
It's
it's obviously
never going to happen.
It's certainly
because
not
second law
relevant to
of
anything.
thermodynamics.
It's
all
certainly not
bullshit.
relevant to
I have a
anything
question.
in our lifetime. That's for sure.
Hey,
Yeah,
Rumpus,
no,
can you
I have
please
a
check
question.
General
What?
for a second, if
what
you don't mind? There's your proof of raining diamonds. And I want
But
you to
not
say, I'm
in the
sorry, I
upper
was wrong,
atmosphere.
Montreal.
let's
I
I want to
mentioned
hear
the
it.
this
core, didn't I? And I
bullshit.
told you specifically it was in the core that they've got diamonds,
Right,
not
and
in the upper
Rakia
atmosphere. I
posted
repeated
you.
that about 3 times, and now you've gone away, and now you're going to say, "Oh, look, there's raining diamonds at the core." Which
Exactly.
Not the
it's
core,
not-
you
remember,
fucking idiot.
Very,
not
it-
the
it's
core.
happening.
In general.
It's close to the core.
You are wrong once
Jesus
again.
Christ. So you're claiming it's happening in the
Posted
upper
in
atmosphere.
general.
Wrong.
So you're claiming it's happening in the upper atmosphere, are you? Is
Not
that your
me.
claim?
Not
Lower.
me. Your
Is this
fantasy
actually
claiming that
religion.
someone
Have
else
a
is
read.
making
I
that claim?
posted proof.
Okay.
Rumpus.
Are you claiming that other people are claiming that it happens in the upper atmosphere?
I am
Lower-
claiming
lower
that is
atmosphere.
what your fantasy is. That's what NASA says, and I
No,
posted
they're
you
not.
proof.
They're saying it's the
You have
core.
proof in general. Do you not
You
believe?
read, go and
Raining
read
Do you
it,
not
diamonds
believe
and you'll see
BBC?
they're talking
Jupiter.
about near the core.
It says
deep in the
raining. Do
atmosphere.
you know what rain
Not-
It says
You
raining.
don't have
in the
rain in
upper
this
atmosphere.
core.
Holy shit!
It clearly says raining in the upper atmosphere.
Not in the upper atmosphere.
Hey,
near
guys,
the
you're all
core.
talking over each other. Just chill the fuck out.
Yeah, someone mute that toppy nose moron.
This isn't important at all on either side of it. This is not fucking important at all. If you guys want to like hash it out of who has a bigger dick, go to another channel.
No,
Don't
it's
fucking
not a
start
bigger
fucking
dick.
arguments.
Rumpus is wrong.
If you look at the
He made a
details
statement.
module, you'll see it's all about the core, and they does not happen in the upper atmosphere. That's why I was so clear, but you didn't pick it up, did you? I tried to be so careful with you and make it absolutely clear where I thought this was happening.
Yeah,
and
but
you
it's
didn't
not
listen,
raining in the core.
and now you've gone
You're
away.
wrong,
to
Rumpus.
Raining in the core.
General,
It's
you're
not
wrong.
raining in the core.
You'll see it's near the core, deep in the atmosphere, not in the upper atmosphere.
Yeah, Farming Ganja, what's your question, Farming Ganja?
See, this is why he
wanna
gets
know,
confused. He doesn't listen.
There's no surface to Jupiter.
I want to know, like, what percentage of the Earth's crust do you think we've currently exploited for rare earth elements?
Probably not even a fraction of 1%.
So we have a long ways to go before we need to start mining things on
There's
Mars
a lot
and
of
see what
lithium. Yeah, there's a lot of lithium in South America.
There's a lot of lithium in China too. Cobalt too, I believe.
Afghanistan's full of shit too, isn't it?
Although most of our nickel, actually, if I remember correctly, comes from Canada.
So I think that's why it seems like an absurd idea to be talking about getting stuff from Mars when we barely.
One reason to go to Mars is simply for exploration, because that's
We're
what
not
humans.
going to Mars.
Shut up! Stop!
Stop
it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Lunatic.
Stop it!
Second
Stop
law
it!
of
Stop
thermodynamics.
Jin.
Stop it!
Chill.
Just let me finish. The
Him's got a
reason
point.
to go to Mars is simply for the sheer exhilaration of exploring the world around us.
So it's just like
that's
going
the
to the
reason
top
to
of
go.
Everest. It's a worthless. It's a pointless
Nah,
pursuit.
it's like going to
It's
Narnia or the mines of
Wait a
Moria.
minute.
Those don't exist.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait, just hold it. Okay. Now, I obviously, I've made it pretty clear that I don't think the Earth is a ball. I don't think we're in infinite space or anything like that. But the idea that you could go point to a land that is entirely unexplored by anyone else and say, I want to go there not to find resources, not to find other people, just because it's unknown to us and I want to see what it is, that is absolutely something that would be desirable in a human being. And if it isn't in you at all, I would say you should maybe look inside yourself, because the desire for adventure, I think, should be there. So, like, no matter
but I'm living in the real world. We
that
can't go
is,
there.
I think, a very real thing.
I want to
that is
join the
unreal.
fellowship. I want to join the Fellowship of the Ring and help Gimli and all them out. But it ain't gonna happen.
I'm not saying Mars is real or that we're going. I'm just saying that the argument of it's worthless, so we shouldn't go. That's a really bad argument. Because if no one else is in there,
potentially
it would be
gain from
exciting.
going to Mars?
Do you think
that's not
does not
what I'm
exist?
saying. I'm
That's the
not
point.
saying
There's
we're going
nothing to
Mars. We're
gain
not.
from going to the top of Mount Everest, and from what I've heard so far, there's
Yes,
nothing
there
to gain
is.
from going to
There's
Mars.
Yeah, there's lots of good
Not now,
reasons
no.
to go to the top of Mount Everest. There's good reasons
There's
to go
nothing
to
to be
Everest.
gained as far as
No,
like
there's not.
discovering something that no one else has seen before at the top of Mount Everest. So that part of the adventure is gone because people have been there and it's done.
personal. It's
But if
personal
you could point at a land and say, I've never been there, and I know no one else has either, and then you could go to that land, are you telling me that you wouldn't feel some sense of adventure, like calling to you, saying, yes, let's go? You would.
Yeah,
now, that's
yeah,
not to
I mean,
say that
that's
we're gonna. We're not
I think
going
you're
to
making
Mars,
a
and I
slightly
agree that we're
different
not going to
argument than
Mars.
me. You're making a slightly different argument than I am. I understand what you're saying.
Okay,
yeah, and
all
I
right.
agree that exploration and
I agree with
and
that,
doing
but
things
we
is
can't go
fine.
anywhere.
But the reason I compared it to Everest was there really is no point in going to Everest at this point. We know what's on top.
Yeah, right, exactly. Other than
No,
a
there's
sense of
good
like
reasons
I
to go
beat
to
the mountain
Everest.
kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
there's
you're
good
not going to
reasons to
bring
go. It's
anything back
personal.
from there. You're not going to.
It's the real world version of defeating the great monster. That's what Everest is right now, right? It's the
Yeah.
thing that
No,
not
it's just
everybody
a
can
personal
do, and you can
conquest.
train for it, and you can get to the top, and you can say, "I'm one of the best. I'm one of the strongest. I'm one of the most well prepared because I did it, and so many others haven't done it. So there's that.
And that's cool,
It's like
but
running a
I look at
marathon, but you're
Everest,
not one of
people
the
who
winners.
climb Everest, and they die on the way up. A lot of people die, not as many as used to.
Some do.
But,
yeah.
And I just think to myself, you died for nothing. You left behind kids and a family.
The reason to
and
go there,
you made it
in
to
a way,
the top,
there is
but
to
you
be
didn't
one
make
of the
it
people
down.
that don't
Why
die.
did you do that for?
To be one of the people that don't die.
Yeah, but what if you die?
That's the adventure.
For
What if you die going to play soccer? You're taking a drive up to soccer, you get crashed into. Soccer.
Yeah, like that's going to come down to like personal threshold for how much danger you're willing to endure. That's not going to be an objective way to decide whether or not something is worth it. Like, I mean, somebody could play football and die professionally. Like, they could get hit so hard that they literally die, right? But that's not going to stop people from training and becoming professional football players. The question is it worth it to you to take that risk?
What about skydiving?
Well, if people were
Riding a
going to Mars
motorcycle.
if they're going for personal reasons and they want to do, that's fine. They can go do it on their own dime if that's what the reason is.
The reasons for humanity to go, is to discover more about the world, possibly to find life on Mars, possibly to establish colonies on Mars.
Here's the problem with that. Even if you believe that Mars is real and that we could get there one day, saying
you don't think
humanity
Mars is
is going
real?
to go. If you're going to say humanity is going to go, that's actually incorrect because humanity is not going to go. A small subset of humanity that's allowed to go would go, and
You don't
nobody
think-
else would.
You don't think Mars exists?
So we set up a colony on Mars. Now what? Why
Now
the
we have
fuck would
two
anybody
places-
want to live on Mars?
Now we have two places where humanity lives, and therefore where our survivability in the future is increased.
What is the scenario that's going to happen? Let's say an asteroid comes and wipes out Earth. Now we've got this colony on Mars where there's no fucking trees, water, atmosphere. You're stuck on supposedly a giant rock floating out nowhere with no hope of life, essentially.
If they're
without
not
being supported from the
self-sustaining,
outside.
if they're
You're
not
stuck inside some
self-sustaining,
kind of buildings drinking
Yeah.
your own piss for eternity.
if they're not self-sustaining, they will die. But if they are self-sustaining, they will grow and expand.
Why would we want to put human beings in that kind of situation? We're gonna have
Brandon,
babies
you
born
said
on
it
there who are gonna
yourself,
be
an
stuck on
asteroid.
fucking Mars in this horrible situation.
In your scenario that you provided, an asteroid destroys fucking Earth. So there are two options that you provided. Be on Earth and get fucked up by an asteroid, or survive in a shitty situation on Mars. You tell us. Which
I'll
one do you
stay
want?
on Earth, motherfucker. I'm not gonna live out in some fucking bubble on a barren fucking rock.
That's great,
with
man.
no
Go
hope
fucking
of
go.
what.
That's
And then
great.
we're gonna have children,
Yeah, but
grandchildren
asteroids
living
are
on
not
some
coming to
barren
us
fucking
anyway.
rock for eternity. What's the point?
It's like when people explored the fucking world before. Why would you want to go to America? That shit's gross.
what I
I
was
got my
about to
house
bring
here.
up, dude.
Then don't fucking go, man.
At least
People
America
wanna
has
go.
trees,
You don't
motherfucker.
have to. Well, I mean,
Yeah, it
Europe-
also had killer
Europe's got a
natives
few
that
trees.
wanted to scalp you.
It had
But it's
water,
one of
it
those
had
things,
an
like, you don't-
atmosphere, it had food, it had wildlife. Does Mars have any of that?
You
It
don't
does
have
have
to
an
be
atmosphere.
interested, Brandon. Other people can be interested. You don't have to be.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Would you want to live there, Biodual?
Right now, no. No, of course not. Right now, no.
Would you want your children to grow up on there if Earth was destroyed? Would you want your descendants to live in these bubble houses for
Oh yes,
eternity?
yes. So let's do it like this. Let's do it like this. Let's say they have a projection that in 30 years there's an asteroid that will destroy the Earth. There's nothing we can do about it. Now I have the choice of, do I send my lineage to Mars or do I keep them here? I would send them to Mars, of course. I don't even know why
Fuck
that's
it, I'd stay here, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but it's never going to happen.
Everyone has a choice.
It's never going to
that
happen.
thing is good to know that you're.
I agree. I'm just saying, I'd stay here.
It's good to know
believe
that
the
you
situation
want
would
your
be.
children to die. That's fine.
Yeah,
Like, if
it's
you-
good
if
to
you're-
know that he's self-pruning.
There
So
are
if you're
fates
of the-
worse
of the
than death.
mind-
That's not a viable
If you're of the
situation.
mind that Mars isn't the place that you can go to, like right now, somebody offered me a place on a rocket ship to go to Mars right now. it wouldn't be the living conditions on Mars that would make me say no. It would be the fact that I don't think Mars is a place I can go. So I'm wondering what they're actually going to do with me once I put myself in their hands. Okay.
What evidence do you have? What evidence do you have that Mars doesn't exist, Bob?
Of course, what Toy Brandon is saying makes sense. But if you're of the mind that Mars is a place you can go to, then it does make sense to be like, yeah, let's go explore. Let's go have an adventure.
What evidence
let's go
do you
raise
have
children.
that Mars doesn't exist?
Just
Bob
like
Dole?
anywhere else on Earth, if you think that's real.
What evidence do you have it doesn't exist, Bob Dole?
I didn't say it doesn't exist.
You said it's not a place you can go to.
Yeah, it's not a place you can go
Just
to.
a blobby light.
So it does exist. So it does exist.
Yes, it does exist, but it's not a place you
Is
can
it
go
a planet? Is it a planet?
We've never been.
No, absolutely not.
How do you know it's not a planet?
Because it's not.
How do you know?
Well, the same way I know the tree is a tree. You look at it,
How do you know?
We don't know what it is.
You look at Mars, it's a light in the sky, not a planet.
How do you know?
It's a little bit more
Because
than just
nothing's
a
a
light in the
planet.
sky,
Planets
dude.
aren't real.
Hold on, it's a little bit more than a light in the sky because I get a lot of detail when I look through with my uncle's
We
$3,500
haven't seen
telescope.
anything of it
Planets are
being
pretend,
terraformer. No
Brenda.
terraformer there at all.
Planets aren't real.
Well,
Those
they're
are all
obviously
part of
more
a
than just a light in
story.
the sky, my friend.
Literally, all you are getting is light from the sky, dude. I mean, literally speaking, that's all you see is light.
This is how
From the
paranoid
fucking
you are. This is how mentally paranoid you are. You actually think that this is
Not
fake.
paranoia.
It is paranoid
It's-
when you
it's
think that
called
the
I just
integrity.
know that Mars isn't a
Would
planet.
somebody
It's
shut
there,
that piece
it's
of
real,
shit up?
but it's not a planet, obviously.
Oh, it's obviously a planet.
No, it's obviously not a
We
planet.
look out and we see a
That's
rock
fake.
in the sky,
That's
my
like
guy.
saying that,
And we
that
see two
Mars is
little,
Middle Earth, or Mars
and
is
then-
Skyrim, or
and then we
Mars
see, like,
is
two
the Death
little
Star.
moons,
Like,
like,
obviously
orbiting
that's
it.
not true. Those are pretend places. They're
No, it
fake.
has
They're made
land
up for a story.
features. It
Yeah, it
has
has-
land features that you can see, especially when you get into the government level,
Sure it
but
does.
even with
Sure
private
it does.
level.
No, you could see
Sure
the
it does.
giant ass volcano on it, my friend.
Sure, you can.
That's all CGI. We don't see none of that.
Oh, it's all CGI through my uncle's telescope. I didn't know that my uncle was a graphic designer.
I see the Balrog too.
Yeah, they built it into
I didn't know that
mirror.
my uncle was a graphics designer, my guy. I thought he was just a fucking accountant. But that's
Hey
news to
guys,
me.
if we all look through our telescopes, we'll see the giant red zit on Jupiter, and we know it's a zit because it looks like a zit. So obviously Jupiter is an organic
This
organism.
is such a bad faith argument.
It's something that can get zits.
Nobody thinks that, Bob. You're a
Yeah,
liar.
It's such a
no
bad faith
kidding.
argument because you
That's
can,
stupid
you
to
can
look at
verify all
something
these
up in the
things.
sky and decide that it is exactly what we have down here.
Well,
That's
it's
retarded.
the evidence though. It's the evidence though. So you can see that
Well,
it's a
anything is
physical
evidence, so
object
that's
that-
not useful.
Okay, awesome. There are good evidences that are involved because when you
No,
look up
there's
at
not.
Mars, beautiful, great time to interrupt. When you look up at Mars, you can see that moons are orbiting it. You can look at it at different times of the year, different times of the day, and you can see these things are moving, and then you can see how they interact with where the sun is as well. You can see features on them. There are plenty of great evidence that supports that they are physical things in the sky far away that are planets the way that we classify them.
No,
They're
no,
great
no,
evidences.
That's not true.
Is that it? Is it just those words? That's not true. Is that
Nuh-uh.
it?
You're claiming that it's good evidence of that explanation. It's not good evidence of that explanation.
Okay, perfect.
Any
Brandon, I
more than
want
it's
this to
good
be
evidence
noted.
that
I want
it's a
this to be
magical
noted.
orb
When
in
I
the
see
sky.
flat
I mean,
earthers-
it's
when I
good
say flat
evidence of
earthers
any
say
of those
nuh-uh,
things. That's what I'm
when I
saying.
say flat
Anything's
earthers say
evidence.
nuh-uh,
That's not
Bob
very
Dole
useful
just
at
said
all.
nuh-uh
Well,
to
I
all of
gotta
those
say,
things.
let me
No,
say
not to all
something
of them.
here.
I
I gotta
specified.
say, if
Specifically, you claim that it's good
if you're
evidence of
just
that.
going by what you see looking through a telescope and you look at that Mars image, you could convince yourself that what you're looking at is another world like ours. Yeah, you could see things on the
why would I not
surface,
think
and you
that?
could see these things going around, and I can see how you could imagine that is like what we are standing on.
Why would I think that it was fake?
Why would you
I
think
don't
it
have a
was
better
fake?
explanation.
You
I
just
don't have
don't
a
have
better
any
explanation
evidence
for what I
either
see,
way.
by the
You're
way.
just looking at it. I mean, it's a story.
The
People have been making up
looking-
stories
the
about the
looking is the
fucking
evidence.
celestial objects for ever
Brandon,
since there were
the
humans,
looking
I'm
at
sure.
it, that is the evidence. That's observational
but
evidence.
it's not validation. It's not validation of anything.
It's evidence.
It's a story.
It's
a story
evidence.
you can't validate. But
Oh,
can you
I'm just saying
validate
it's
it?
evidence. I'm just saying it's
Trevor, can you-
evidence.
Well, I just
Anything is
said you could
evidence.
convince yourself looking at it. It's a story.
No,
yeah.
it's just evidence. It's just evidence, and the
Okay.
preponderance
All
of
right.
the evidence
That's not useful.
indicates the preponderance of the evidence indicates that Mars and Saturn and Jupiter are real planets.
So, how do you know that the gas when looking at Jupiter, we got the red spot? How do we know it's gases and not liquids? Just by looking at it, how can you tell? How would you ever validate it?
We know what the chemical composition of it is
How do you know? How did you validate that?
through spectroscopy.
That's a fun story.
No, it's a science, actually.
Nah, of Jupiter.
Yeah, no, spectroscopy is a science.
Which type of spectroscopy are you talking about, Brenda?
It's in a controlled environment.
No, spectroscopy is a valid science. So
Which one? Which type of spectroscopy are you talking about, Brenda? I bet you have no clue.
You can just examine the absorption spectra of light coming from an object. You can examine the absorption spectral lines coming from a distant object, and then you can know what the thing is made
The
of.
color. You mean?
Incorrect.
No, so hold on. It is more than just the light spectrum. They also fire UV rays at it, X-rays, ultraviolet, all sorts of different materials in different different like phases of those materials absorb these different light spectrums differently, and then you can use those charts and pair them up with the one material that gives you the same results, like the same.
And how did they fire those things in space? Are you talking about terrestrial spectroscopy in a closed environment, maybe? Are you confusing that?
Here on Earth?
We have no reason to think. We have no reason to think within spectroscopy that the results would be different anywhere else in the universe. That is an assumption, and that's fine. But there's no reason to think it's not true.
Incorrect. Tell us the difference between terrestrial spectroscopy and the spectroscopy you're talking about now. Go ahead, Bio.
If you're saying I'm wrong, there's no need for me to explain. How about you explain the difference and how it's different, whether it's in space or whether it's on the ground here?
So you have no clue. You heard it, everybody. Came in trying to talk about spectroscopy. He has no clue about it. Now he wants me to explain it. No, it's up to you, sir. Terrestrial spectroscopy versus what you're talking about. Please go ahead and elaborate.
So you tell me I'm wrong, and then I give you the floor to explain why I'm wrong, and you won't. If
I will. I'll do it right now to shut you up, to show you that you're fucking stupid.
If I'm wrong,
okay, listen.
There's no need for me to explain it, right?
Terrestrial spectroscopy is done in a closed system, very highly controlled environment. But I bet you didn't know that, right?
How is that relevant?
I'm still waiting for the part where I'm wrong. I'm still waiting for
I just told you.
Keep going, Effie. We're waiting.
Okay, listen up. I'll explain it to you, because of course you're dumb. When you point a telescope at a star and you want to get a spectral analysis out of it, there's no way for you to know what's between you and that star, as opposed to a closed environment where you can control all the variables. Do you understand now, Bio?
Hold on, real quick.
We do know what's in between.
Let me address them, Brenda. Let me address them. So what you're saying is, what I said was, spectroscopy, in the way it works and the way we apply it to space, there is no reason to think that it doesn't work the same, whether in the universe outside of us or within our atmosphere. I said there's no reason to think that it wouldn't work the same. So your reply is, on the ground, we do it in a control environment. Out there, we don't know. That's your reply. Is that literally what you got a boner for right now? Is that it?
No, I got a boner for guys like you and Rumpus and Brenda who have no clue what they're talking about. And I just showed everybody, after explaining you the difference, you're still too stupid to understand what that means. So I rest my case, you idiot.
So, hold on.
I yield to the rest of the room. What I said is what Essie said, refute what I put out there.
Yeah, so again,
that's the thing. When you say there's no reason not to believe, it's based on your assumption that you're right in what your claims are. Without validation.
They don't even know what they're talking about. They can't even
So-
pronounce spectroscopy properly.
Dude, you fucking struggled with it for like 5 minutes now. So like, who are you? Why
Why don't you, genius? Why don't you tell us the difference? Go ahead, you have
This
the
is
floor.
the low-hanging
Go ahead,
bullshit that you
genius.
provide, Essie. It's not even a fucking argument for anything.
Sit down, moron. You
You're
just
providing fucking nothing,
expose
Essie.
yourself.
It's almost
How
as
about the
if-
next guy, Chinaman, whatever
It's
your name
almost
is?
as
You go
if-
ahead, explain it to us.
Chief Squatting Dog is what it is, but learn to
Chief
read.
Squatting
Either
Dog,
way.
please
Yeah,
explain
I don't know
us
where you
the
got
difference.
Chinaman from.
I have a
I
question. for
apologize.
Squatting
Go
Dog.
ahead, Chief Squatting Dog.
Yeah, so-
Go ahead, tell us.
So spectroscopy, right? You are acting as if we can't calibrate these machines, right? Even the ones that we do here on Earth, let alone the ones that we do on the satellites, where we don't need to calibrate for such things, right? You're acting as if we can't calibrate our machines to take into account our atmosphere and the chemical makeup within our atmosphere.
Absolutely, you cannot. Do you know the difference between emission and absorption spectroscopy?
Emission and absorption. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So emissions. So different. So when you're doing was it absorption, right? You are actually sending out the waves, right? You are sending out things like ultraviolet, UV. Or UV is ultraviolet. Like you're sending out ultraviolet rays, you're sending out X-rays, you're sending out light spectrum, you're sending out a whole big old everything in the fucking spectrum. Absorption is reading back what actually comes back from what you sent, and it's kind of like radar or like a echolocation. What doesn't get bounced back, now you take that into your reading. And you say, okay, so this thing absorbed X amount of was it X-rays, X amount of so and so, X amount of so and so, and the material that we have that correlates with that would be like fucking, I don't know, nickel. All right, that is what absorption is, right?
Well, you got it almost right. Almost. Now, let me ask you something. Now that you've established some knowledge, hold on.
I got 100% right.
How can you say, like, let's say you're doing a spectral analysis of the sun, right? How can you eliminate the stuff between you and the sun? For example, a gas cloud. How can you eliminate that it didn't absorb some of the emissions from the sun? How can you eliminate that?
Gas
Please
cloud
explain.
that we can't see in between us in it? Or are you talking about, say, our atmosphere? Because we can calibrate for how much our atmosphere absorbs of different wave frequencies.
You can calibrate something you don't know is there?
We can calibrate for our atmosphere that we know is there.
How about your atmosphere? I'm talking about you and the sun. Forget the sun is a black body. We'll get to that after, because I'm sure you have no clue what that means either. But how can you
bring it up again? Say it again. I was kind of distracted.
How can you eliminate? There's no gas that can absorb the emissions and screw up your reading. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so we do go off the assumption sometimes that there's nothing in between us and the sun. Sometimes when we get scattering effects with our readings, that's kind of a clear indicator that there might be something in between us and the sun.
So you're
we
assuming.
So we look for.
I'm done with this guy.
So we look for scattering effects, which is, I guess you just listen for one keyword and just completely stop listening, but that's okay. So I'll repeat myself.
He doesn't
again,
even listen for a keyword. He doesn't know how to listen.
This is the base of the problem. Is that everything is based on assumptions.
So with our readings, we look for scattering that we did not account for, and if we find scattering, such as if it goes through a cloud that we can't physically see, and we can do look at our readings and we do see scatterings that aren't accounted for by our atmosphere, then we know that something's in the way, and we'll probably have to try and figure out how to account for that too. But I guess you didn't know that we could do that either.
I get it.
I have a question, Squatting Dog.
What's up?
Squatting Dog, I have a question.
What's
up?
up?
You claimed you could see a volcano through your uncle's telescope. You could see a volcano on Mars.
Yeah, there's a notorious big old mountain range that was believed to be formed by a volcano on Mars.
So if you look in
biggest
the chat,
biggest volcano in our solar system that we know of.
A mountain range that was
posted within
believed
the
to be formed by a
chat,
volcano?
I posted an image from the 200-inch telescope from Palomar. It's at 56 minutes after. And can you identify that mountain range in that photograph?
I was trying to find out where your picture is.
55 or
56 minutes after. 56 minutes after.
I'm not sure why this
You
one's
can't
black and
identify
white.
anything. You can't identify anything in that shitty image.
That's from the Palo. That's a 200-inch telescope from.
I don't know why you
Palomar.
decided to. I don't know why you decided to take a little screen cap from like the least calibrated point on the fucking film.
Did you have a better
maybe you could
than 200 inch?
provide us a better picture of Mars through a telescope. Maybe you could find one. And
Yeah, so
provide us a better
there's
picture.
plenty of people on YouTube who go out and do this shit. We can just look up on their
Actually,
fucking.
if you go up, I posted one from somebody on YouTube just right above it.
Right above it, the first one right here on this one that's all blurry, and it's still in
Yes.
black and white.
That was from somebody on YouTube. Yes.
That's odd. Why you would choose this one? Why we would cherry pick this one that looks all blurry when there's countless of other ones.
Provide us one. Maybe you could provide us one where
I
you can
could.
see this volcano.
Yes.
A recent study report stated that there are over 65 active serial killers in the United States. What they don't know is that there's actually 66.
Good one.
Hey, I've got a question for you guys. I want to challenge something that's said in the Flat Earth community quite a bit and get your guys' thoughts on it. Maybe you'll be interested, maybe you won't. I was watching a Globebusters video that was put out today. It was about a 15-minute video, and there was some discussion of why it matters if we're being lied to and the Earth is, not a giant ball. And one of the things that was said in that video and gets said quite a bit is they don't want us to know that we are created and that we are special. I realize that I've never understood that statement, what that means, just because we were created, which I do think we are created one way or the other. Why that would make us special, what that means. Does anybody on the panel follow that line of thinking that can explain that?
Yeah.
It's dumb religion.
Yeah, so I think it stems from if we live in a essentially infinite universe. It's finite, but it's just super fucking huge. That diminishes our impact. So if we think about the universe, if we're on a flat Earth within a dome, and it's that would be the universe, we have a huge impact on 100% of our environment, of our existence, of everything. But if we live in an endless space, our impact on the entirety of it is so fucking minuscule. So I think that's where it comes from, is that we aren't important if the universe is fucking huge. I think that's what it comes from.
Yeah, so I just found another snippet. I found again, I typed it into Google and you click the first results and you showed the shittiest part of the video, which either you didn't really watch the whole video or you're just being dishonest. But here's like a really good image of Mars from this guy's telescope.
Yeah,
same video.
So we'll bring that up in a minute. Did any flat earther have any thoughts on why that would make us special if we're on a flat Earth or if there's a creator?
Yeah, are you asking if it would make us special if we were created?
And if
why it would, why that would make us special? Yeah.
Well, the same reason. Whenever you make something, it's special to you. So if we were created by a being, then we would automatically, just because it chose to make us, we would be special to it. Not necessarily special to everything else, but special to it, whatever that creator was. The same way if I whittle something out of wood, it's just a piece of wood, but I made that. Like, I cut it down into the shape that I wanted. I made that, and so it's special to me. Or perhaps my child brings me something that they made. Okay, so I think there is some sort of a specialty to the things that are made by you, and so if we have a creator, we would be special to that creator.
Can I ask you a question about?
So let's say General Motors makes like millions of cars every year, right? I would doubt that they would say that any of those cars are special.
I would say that you're wrong, because they probably spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, making sure that no one else can make their cars.
So what good does that do us to be special anyway? Why is that a thing that we would want to be special to a creator?
Yeah, no one wants to be special, but we are special. The very fact that we're the only living thing.
Everybody wants to be special.
Jim is really special.
Go ahead, Jim.
Jim is really special. It's very special, man.
I'd like to know
I
what
don't
could be less significant than being a being created by a super being that could do it without even thought. I mean, essentially, you couldn't be less significant
I can explain
in a
that if you want.
God-generated universe. Than
Basically,
would be
an all-powerful being that could make anything it wants, and it chose to make us.
Yeah, but it wouldn't take any effort at all. It's not like, you
It doesn't matter. Okay, but think about this: if your child brings you something that they colored that day, it probably didn't take them a whole lot of effort. In fact, they probably enjoyed the activity of coloring all in and of itself. But if they decided that it was for you, at least to me, I have children, so to me, that would be significant, not because the paper is significant or the colors or the effort they put into it, but because of why they made it.
But if an adult did it and drew that picture with 1 second, you would say, that's shit. Now, God is the ultimate
I
adult.
wouldn't say that.
God
Why would
is
you say that? Why would you? If an adult honestly came to you, if an adult honestly walked up to you, an adult that you knew, and said to you, listen, I care about you very much. I care about you so much that I made this thing for you. And then they hand it to you, you would tell them this looks like crap. You wouldn't at least acknowledge that they put an effort into something and decided to make it for you instead of not making it?
The analogy would be someone came up to you and said, this person that you don't know at all made this for you, so you should dedicate and love this person. That would be the better analogy.
I guess if you don't know your creator, then yeah, it probably doesn't seem special at all. That makes sense. If you don't know somebody, what they do isn't going to be nearly as special as if you know them, of course.
Right, and
That's just the way it is.
You don't know if they did it. But I want to get back to a line of questioning that Brandon brought up, and I want to ask a question. As far let's go with the assumption that there is a creator, there is a God. Now, the two scenarios would be he made a flat earth with a dome, however you want to picture a flat earth. Then he made a spherical earth in the model that we understand on the globe side. Now, what difference is there between those two models when it pertains to God?
Economy of space and simplicity, in my opinion.
But does that diminish God, or wouldn't a giant universe put a stronger foothold in God's capabilities than a very finite dome Earth?
Maybe, but why would he waste resources? Why would he want to have his heat source 93 million miles away when he could have it close? Hold on. When he could have it close to the Earth. Why would he want to have his heat source 93 million miles away, heating up all that space when he could have it, a lot closer? Why would he design something in such a? It'd be like one of those machines that they used to create to put butter on toast that had like 20 things. I can't
why
remember
would
his
he
name.
give us?
Right.
Why would he tell us to be? Why would he tell us
I
to be?
understand what you're saying. I don't know why Chief is asking another question. I understand what you're saying. So, as far as that's concerned, I guess the best answer would be that. Again, I'm pretty anti-theist, but I'll entertain it. So I guess God would say, I provided a giant amount of space for you to explore when you're done exploring Earth. So I made the sun your heat source this far so I could fit other things between you, like other planets, other moons, other things. So when you're done exploring on Earth, you can explore in this giant space.
Why would you assume that this creator? Why would you assume that this creator would have a desire for us to explore beyond the environment?
I have an answer.
It created for us, and I don't think when I'm talking about a creator in my mind, I'm not talking about any of the God from the religions. I'm thinking of something with the capability of creating this environment that we're in, and us, these machines that we are, these computer androids, right? They're essentially living organic androids that are specifically built to replicate in this environment.
Yeah, sure. No one has a evidentiary answer. You could say that you wouldn't have made the sun 93 miles away. You would have made it local. I would say that it would be far away, or that's what we would say for God. But we have no idea either way.
Every human has a different fingerprint.
It would be our perspective, but it doesn't take away. It wouldn't take away from God whether Earth is flat in a dome or in
no,
space.
it wouldn't. Not at all.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so on top of that, why would God tell us to be fruitful and
Wait, hold
multiply,
on.
but give us
Guys,
very limited
I wanted to
space in this
respond to
dome?
Bioduel before you moved on, though.
Dude,
Hold
I've
on,
been trying to fucking get my word in
I
first,
know.
so just shush.
All right,
So my
I
thing
think I
is,
talked first, but I'll
yeah,
let you go. Whatever.
Yeah. So my thing is, why would God tell us to be fruitful and multiply and give us such a limited space within this sealed dome, rather
that's
than
easy.
giving
We
us
aren't
an
limited
entire,
at all any way
rather
whatsoever.
than going out and giving us an entire universe to expand and multiply to?
We are
An
in no
entire
way
universe
limited at
of
all
nothingness
whatsoever,
that we're
even a
not
little bit.
suited to live within, though. Why would what would
Not
be the
at-
point of
not at
that?
our
We
current
do
time.
have a limited environment.
Are you saying that God is too stupid to see that humans would get smarter and get better with technology to actually be able to go out?
No, I have
We
no.
are not limited in
I
any
have
way,
no
shape, or form.
knowledge of who or what God is, or how smart He is. I'm saying that this place, to me, appears to have been created specifically to be an environment for us to live and replicate. That's all I'm saying.
I think
And we are
we
not
can make the
limited at
argument-
all, even a little bit.
I think we can make the argument that it's not really. Humans are successful. Yes, don't get me wrong. The arguably the most successful animal on the earth, but we can really talk about our environment in which 70% of the surface is water. We can't breathe water. We can't live in water.
Salt water.
And then
yet it's essential for us to live.
Yeah, we can't drink that water either. And then when we talk about the land, how much of it is ice and snow that we can't operate in generally?
Only 20% of it is arable.
Right, and then how much is farmable? How much is good soil? All these things.
More than
I would
enough
make
to
the
feed
argument-
human
I
being
would
on
make
the
the
planet
argument that this
over and
this
over and
Earth-
over again.
I would make the argument that this Earth is not suitable for humans. We're just too stubborn to figure it out, and
That
we
would be
rise
retarded.
above anyway.
No,
That would
it's
be a retarded
perfectly
claim to
suited
make,
to us. And if you
considering that
think
we would
maybe there's
survive
an
and we
economy of
thrive.
resources, when you have an
It was better
investment,
made
when
for
you
sharks.
create something, let's say you create this environment specifically for humans, this creation you have, economy of resources. You want to use as little as possible to heat as much space as possible to make as much livable space as you can in this environment.
Why?
You have this sun
Why?
that goes around back and forth, which increases the livable space by probably 2 times because it moves back and forth in cycles, and they can live in both areas. So it
Why would
increases
an
the livable
omnipotent
space.
Why
Well,
would
sure,
an omnipotent being need to conserve?
Wait,
Because
I was
maybe
supposed
it's
to be
not an
next,
omnipotent being, Brenda.
I think, maybe.
Oh, God isn't omnipotent?
I'm not talking about God. I'm talking about whoever created humanity and the earth.
Yeah, he
not God.
made clear that he wasn't talking about like God of the Bible or anything like
So
this.
we can
Whatever that is.
We know that humans typically suffer from chronic back issues due to our faulty design, and then like a good chunk
We
of
don't
us
know
are
any of that.
And we know that a good chunk of us are susceptible to skin cancer because we can't handle the
No,
sun
we
rays
don't
that we
know that
get
either.
here. Yeah, we do.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do.
No,
But
we
I'm,
don't.
I'm glad
Just
you're
remember,
just.
it's always nuh-uh. It's
Yeah,
always
I know.
nuh-uh.
I'm
Yeah,
just gonna turn nuh-uh down
absolutely,
just
it's
a bit,
nuh-uh.
right?
I
So
say nuh-uh to retarded things.
there we go. So
I mean, if
we
you
know
stop
that
saying retarded
humans
things, then
again,
I
we
can
have
stop saying
from-
nuh-uh.
we
That would be
typically
great.
have, we know
come
that
on.
we know that we typically have back and knee issues at our joints because, of course, bipedalism is really hard on
Nope.
us. The atmosphere that we breathe
I have an answer
slowly
for you.
kills us. The sun slowly kills us because, again, we're not able to handle the UV all too well.
Have you ever heard of swap C? Size,
No.
weight, power. I can't remember what the other one stands for. Cost. When you engineer something, you have to make trade-offs between different functionalities and different aspects of your design in order for it to come to fruition and maximize the value that you can
Cost
get.
benefit analysis. I'm
Right?
aware.
Right. So whatever created us had to make those same kind of choices. Plus, it might just be flat out design defects. Maybe, maybe we're not the greatest design. Maybe we're just an evolution along the iPhone 7 of bipedal mammals that they've created or something.
Perhaps we could have all just.
I'm
been
an
designed
iPhone 7
black and we
SE,
would,
son.
Yeah, we could have all been just black.
You-
Right? God
you
could
have
made
to
us all
admit,
black.
you
and
ha-
we would,
Brandon-
we would suffer from. God
Brandon,
could
you
made
have
us
to
all-
admit though. You have
lack
to
of-
admit, Brandon, You'd have to admit, Brandon, that the human mind to create a turbine engine is pretty magical engineering, feat, right?
Oh, we're amazing computers. We are amazing
Here it comes.
creation.
Here it comes.
Period.
Here
But
comes.
You don't think we're amazing,
Computer.
Brenda?
No, we're not.
whole point
I'm anticipating what the next step.
The whole point is that this intelligent design is to ignore it is sort of like I don't know.
There's no
Does it
intelligent
require-
design. There's no intelligent design.
Does it require a complete dismissal? Because that's what it is. I'm just amazed that the human mind can invent a turbine engine.
Yeah.
And the way that a turbine engine works is pretty amazing. Right.
So
And
there's
I don't
no
know
intelligent
any other
design. That's pseudoscience. It's
okay.
not real. It is.
Right.
So
we never designed.
It was ruled pseudoscience in a court of law.
What was?
Right. So we don't.
Intelligent design.
Oh,
Of any
stop,
kind?
Brenda. We don't care about what we ruled
Are
in
you
a
arguing
courtroom
that
for
like
some
literally
school
nothing
case.
is intelligently designed?
The creationism 2.0, called intelligent design, is ruled pseudoscience
Creationism
in the
2.0, what's
in the Dover trial.
Yeah, we don't care about that. What are you
Dover
talking
trial.
It's pseudoscience.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about
what is this thing
intelligent
that's being
design.
referenced as Dover trial? What's this about?
I'm talking about intelligent design.
Is the turbine designed from intelligent design, Brenda?
A courtroom struck
turbines,
down intelligent
Yeah, it is.
design?
Yes.
A turbine that
A
can get
courtroom
completely
decided
fucked
that
by
things
the size
can't
of a
be
golf ball
intelligently
colliding
designed.
with
Is
it.
that what you're saying? A judge actually said the words "things cannot be intelligently designed. It's impossible." I rule on it, and then like smacked his gavel. What are you
We're
saying?
talking about nature. We're not talking about man-made stuff. We're talking about nature.
We're talking about
Oh, well, then it doesn't
intelligent
matter.
design. We're talking about intelligent design, right? Which is a promotion of creationism. It's a variant of creationism, trying to get intelligent design taught in the schools. It was ruled not to be science. It's pseudoscience.
Whatever you think about the like how the world came to be, things can be intelligently designed, whether a judge says so or not. If a judge says they can't be, that judge is an idiot or a liar or both. I mean,
he ruled that intelligent design, the organization, is pseudoscience.
So this
It is.
judge struck down.
so you're talking
all
about
of
an
religion
organization,
then,
not
Brenda,
intelligent
is what
design. You're
saying.
talking about
Yeah,
an
the
organization that
theory.
calls itself intelligent design.
The theory of intelligent design is pseudoscience. Yes.
No, that's retarded.
Whatever.
The iPhone was intelligently designed.
You're the
The
person
iPhone
that
was
can't
intelligently
figure out
designed,
if
whether you like
Mars
it or
is.
not.
You're the person that can't figure out if planets are real. So whatever.
I'm fairly
No,
certain
it's not
they
that I
didn't
can't
rule
figure it
that
out. I
was
know they're
fake.
not. They're not
They
real.
didn't- They didn't rule that religion was fake. Or I think it was just it doesn't fall within the criteria of a school to be taught at
Curriculum?
school. I think that's what it was. Or school curriculum. There you go. Thank you. I
Yeah,
think that's what the
it
ruling
seems
was.
like
Yeah.
what Brenda is doing is attempting to say one thing was ruled or determined, and then like apply it to another thing that actually has nothing to do with what was actually ruled.
Yeah, so
That's what it sounds like he's trying to do.
The Dover intelligent design, or it ruled that intelligent design is a religious view, not a scientific theory, according to U.S. District Judge John E.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Aguilar.
See, totally different than what Brenda was claiming. Okay.
No, if that's what I was claiming, but you interrupt.
No,
and
you
talk
were
over,
being
like you
very
are
obviously
now,
dishonest about
like
what you were
right
saying.
Now you're
Okay.
talking and over, and then you don't get to hear
idiot,
the
both,
full
I
thing.
guess.
It's Kitzmiller.
Perhaps a
It's
liar.
Kitzmiller versus Dover. It's Kitzmiller versus Dover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't rule anything about intelligent design. They ruled about a curriculum.
Intelligent design is a
No,
pseudoscience.
incorrect.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
No,
They
federal
ruled that a
judge
certain
ruled
curriculum
that
was pseudoscience.
Hold on. A federal judge ruled that
religious, anyway.
A federal judge ruled that creation science did not qualify as a scientific theory, striking down Arkansas's law requiring equal time for creation science and evolution.
There you go.
So they ruled it that it wasn't a scientific theory. It wasn't
Right.
plausible
So
science.
nothing to do with ruling intelligent design as a concept in any way, shape, or form. Just a curriculum specifically that might have included intelligent design is
the
not
theory of
considered to be a
intelligent
scientific
design.
theory legally. which nobody here was discussing, and Brenda brought up.
You were.
Apparently,
you were.
Brenda, the
an agenda
government
or
doesn't
no good reason
have the
whatsoever.
power to rule out and dismiss intelligent design as a legitimate theory or a legitimate topic of discussion for that matter, which is all we're doing.
They do have that power.
The founding document
No,
says
they don't.
As far as curriculum, they do.
think
As
they
far as
might.
curriculum,
They think they do,
because
but they
they're an
don't.
organization, they can decide what's at the organization and what's not. So as far as
Yeah.
deciding whether or not it will be taught, sure, they have that ability. They have no power to say that something is a valid theory or not a valid theory besides their already established environment, basically. So their peers or the other organizations that they work with.
The founding documents say the creator. All men are created. A self-evident truth. All men are created equal, endowed by their creator.
Yeah, that doesn't make it true.
No, but a judge ain't going to be able to say, "Oh, the founding documents are negated because some school."
No, he didn't. He didn't negate. He didn't negate the Constitution.
Evident truth.
Well, it was an interesting conversation. Kind of got sidetracked there. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Colin, thank you, man. $4.99. Brandon, why don't you promote your channel and see who follows? I do have a channel. I haven't posted a lot on it. I used to plug it on a pretty regular basis. It is just Brandon Toy Channel. I'll put the link in the chat if you guys want to subscribe to it as kind of a backup channel. That'd be cool. If anything ever happens to to this channel, then that's where I'll go. I don't see any reason for people to move, but you guys go over there and subscribe. I'm looking for the link. Sorry. Can't do two things at once. Here it is. Yeah, please subscribe to that, and at least we'll have a place that we can go in case this channel gets nuked. And that'd be cool. Thank you, Colin. Appreciate the super chats tonight, man. And keep coming back. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show. And we will see you hopefully tomorrow. If not tomorrow, Wednesday, I'm sure. But look for the show notification tomorrow, one way or the other. And thanks to everybody who supported the show tonight. Big shout out to Colin Dresser again, Rune Thorson, Unicorn Laser Eyes, and The Science of Science. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye.
Understand